There once were four pirates named Bradley, Willer, Joe, and Tyler. They had fame, power, and podcasts beyond your wildest dreams. Before they hung them from the gallows, these were the final words they said. Our good takes are yours for the taking, but you'll have to listen to them first. We left everything we own and rode Poneglyph. Ever since then, listeners from all over the world tune into the Grand Line, listening to Road Poneglyph, the podcast that would make their dreams come true. Dream it, don't give it up.
Woo! He did it. All right. Hey, welcome to Road Poneglyph, the rebranded version of Dream It, Don't Give It Up Bradley. Rebranded because Bradley didn't want his name on the title, which is fair. I would like...
Willer insisted that Road Poneglyph would actually be a really fucking cool name. I don't know why yet, but I trust him, so we're doing it.
Well, for now, all you have to know is that most of our things are named with a road or ride theme because we're the Roundabout cast. So,
Okay.
Road Poneglyph will be fine for you for now.
And we made a goofy little intro there. I hope people don't turn off this podcast when they listen to it.
Are you kidding me? They're gonna be hooked.
They're gonna remix it.
It's a lot better than us just going, oh fuck, we're recording One Piece now.
Is it though? I feel like it's kind of charismatic or like just a little cheeky. But hey,
I mean, I've never had a problem with our low budget setup, but that's fine. Are we on chapter 317, volume 34?
yes.
Yeah,
Oh,
We're starting with volume 34 this week, the first chapter of which is volume 317.
Wait, Choto Mate a minute. I have
Yeah.
some comments that I would like to read from
Yeah,
our
we got a lot of
lovely
comments
commenters. First of all, our home boy or home girl tier mask always leaving nice comments. Also left a comment on our Steven Universe talk, so I appreciate that. Just wanted to give them a shout out. We have Dark Zoom, but the A is an X, so it's like Dazark Zoom. That says awesome. Keep it up, guys. Thank you. But then we got some like deep comments here.
Oh yeah.
I want to bring up Thornray's comment, which was fantastic. Thornray points out that we left out one of the D's when we were going through the D's that we do know. There's Marshall D. Teach, or Blackbeard. I didn't bring him up because I forgot if his name was revealed, but if Thornray says it is, then it is.
Very interesting.
We got... So he was saying, also to add a little bit to you noticing the similarities between Nolan and Calgera, and Wiper doing the same thing, or to be more specific, it's the comparison of Wiper and Nolan. They both got their right arm hurt and bandaged in a very similar way, so I guess it was intentional. So it's talking about how Wiper is all about rejecting the gods, and Nolan is the same way, but they're doing it for two completely different reasons. Where Nolan rejects the gods because they're harmful, and that they demand blood, so they're inhumane and against progress. But Wiper does it for the complete opposite reasons, where he's rejecting the gods. What did he say here? Hold on. I gotta read through it.
he originally, for Nolan, he had to reject the gods for progression, but for Wiper, he rejects them for conservationism. They have to conserve culture.
So the very culture that Nolan was rejecting the gods for is the culture that Wiper fights to protect.
Yes.
Super cool. Another point about Wiper is in the backstory, it's shown that Nolan's the one who introduced the pumpkins to the Shandians, which is cultural integration. But later in Skypiea, we get the short flashback of Gan 4 talking about how much he loves the pumpkin juice and Wiper getting mad. Even though the pumpkin juice wasn't even theirs to begin with. I thought that was a really cool thing to point out.
It's interesting, and I remember when I had read that thing about the pumpkin juice, I was like, I'm assuming this will make sense later, and I kind of forgot about it. But that's just really cool that pumpkins, which were introduced to Shandians by outsiders, we get to the present day, and Wiper is upset that this outsider is trying to connect with him over pumpkins. He's like, no, that's our thing. It's just really cool.
Pumpkins bad.
And that's just to show we can talk about One Piece for hours, and there will still be even more deep stuff that we didn't even touch on.
And I think he brought up one other really good point, which is He just loves this arc. He thinks it's underrated. I agree. He was bringing up Cricket would probably have found many of the traditions romantic, while Bellamy would just laugh and shit on everything that doesn't make sense. The religious references, the adventure, the characters, the moments, and developments in Skypiea are wonderful. I like that way to tie Mocktown into this, and how those people would have viewed this adventure of the Straw Hats go on completely different. I think there's one other comment that was so good I had to bring it up. But Bradley, why don't you start us off while I try to find it? Okay, never mind. I found it.
Okay, best.
I'm great. One thing. So Nonstop Kangaroo says, one thing I'd like to add is the contrast between Jaya of the past and the present one on the ground, which is similar to what we are just mentioning. Chandria represents absolute faith, while Mocktown represents the complete lack of faith. The name Mocktown represents the place of mocking those with dreams and beliefs. Oda portrays both sides as extreme versions of themselves, and the negative aspects of both sides. What I took from this is that absolute faith, or absolute lack of faith, is both dangerous, and in Skypiea he shows that the need of both faith and the faithlessness. And then he brings up one of his favorite scenes is when the angels of Skypiea are praying before they get nuked by Eneru. What another really cool connection between Mocktown and Skypiea. I love these comments. As Bradley was saying, we would never think to talk about this if it wasn't for you guys.
Yeah, it's cool. We clearly already love this story so much, and these comments just make us love the story even more. So, thanks, guys.
Thank you so much. Please leave your nice comments, even if they're not insightful. But if you do got something insightful, definitely leave those because we love reading them. All right, let's get into the actual volume proper.
Yeah. We're finally getting into the start of the Water 7 arc. And Willer brought over these volumes, and it's fun because volume 34... you know, we see a few characters, but it's a very calm cover, and I'm like, okay, this is like, you know, kind of a transition. And then the very next volume, 35, has Luffy and Usopp in combat mode, so I was like, oh fuck, we're about, like, they're just gonna get into it.
Who are they fighting? They fighting this masked man? They fighting the reader? Is this gonna be one of those pop-up 3D adventures? I don't know.
I had no idea what we were getting into.
Why would they fight the reader? What are you on, Joe? Anyways, we don't actually start with any of that. We start with the end of the Foxy fight here.
Yeah, we're on the end of the Foxy fight, and I mean, we're probably not going to talk a ton about it. I feel like most of the stuff we would have said would be last week. There were some fun moments where Luffy pulls out Gum Gum Flail, where he grabs his arm and slings it around like a flail and then hits Foxy in the face, which I don't know if we've seen Flail up to this point.
First time he does it.
But I really love anytime Luffy pulls out a new move like Fireworks or Octopus or something like that, because it's just cool how many ideas Oda has for this ability.
Yeah, I think the end of Foxy Boxing here is one of my favorites in terms of like a fight. And this is an interesting fight because this is just a straight up one-on-one fight between two people and their abilities. There's nothing else going on. There's no big dumb thing that's going to happen because if Luffy fails to beat this person. I mean, I don't know. They'll probably lose Chopper again, but you know, whatever. They can find another reindeer that talks.
They can.
But it's just like it's a very low stakes fight compared to everything else we've done. And I just love the countdown at the end of this where it's like a big sports match kind of thing, and they get even the Foxy's crew into it like, what's going on? I don't know. Let's just do it anyways. I just love the ending to this fight.
I actually do have quite a few things to say about this chapter in particular. There's actually one more comment I wanted to bring up. Young says, Davy back fight, more like Davy Nat fight, am I right? And I was like, did Bradley write this?
That is very much like something I would say.
But then he says, but being serious, this arc has grown on me. This is a good build-up to one of my favorite arcs. And then he says, Luffy versus Foxy is one of the most technical fights in the series and has some of my favorite Devil Fruit interactions, which is a lot of what I want to talk about. All right, so let's get started here. The Foxy fighter attack is such a cool move because he's riding that plane that can only work because of his Noro fruit. But the punch that he does from this attack is one of the best impacts in One Piece so far, because the way the afro spikes and then Luffy just fucking flips back from the hit. It looks fantastic. The follow-up with him letting the glider crash into Luffy looks great. All the aura rushes are great as well. But I particularly like Luffy using the mirror to reflect Foxy's beam. It's cool to see Luffy using his head in battles like this.
Yeah, it's the afro, man.
It's the afro.
It's a bigger brain.
But then, with all these impacts we've been talking about this whole arc, I think what's so cool about Gum Gum Flail is the absolute lack of impact. Where as he does it, Foxy is drawn so rigid and still. And I think it's a really big contrast to pretty much every hit up to this point. And then the countdown to 0 and him flying and Luffy posing in front of the mast is definitely one of my favorite endings of a fight.
It was a really cool way to end the fight.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I really like this arc now. Like, on this reread, I already liked it, but I like it even more. I think it is super worth reading in the manga.
I think the big thing about the arc is that it's such a tonal shift compared to the Skypiea.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's a great palate cleanser for what's to come.
I think we can talk about it now, where this tonal shift was very intentional.
Yeah, it was 100% intentional.
It's
I feel like I can say if this is, I've gotten the vibe that a lot of people consider this one of the worst arcs in One Piece, and I'm like, if this is the worst that One Piece has to offer, then this is a really fucking good manga.
Yeah. And I feel like I equate this fight, Bradley, to Uber and Leet and Worm. You know how they were used right before Bakuda?
Yeah.
Except that the action here was great, and it had some fun moments. Anyways, that's what I had for that chapter.
It's really fun after the fight when Foxy comes up to Luffy, holding out his hand, and he's like, "Well done, brother." And I don't know what I expected. For a half second, I was about to be like, oh, maybe he's actually being respectful. And then he immediately is just like, yeah, right, vengeance shoulder throw. And of course it doesn't work. I don't know.
Great gag.
For some reason, I was like, I don't know, maybe he did have a change of heart.
Well, they didn't leave on super bad terms, I want to say. It's kind of like a comically, like, oh, we'll get you for this straw hat. But you don't feel very much malicious intent, I feel like. And
so it was kind of funny. You know, they're like, you can take one of our carpenters now. And Sanji's like, you know, Luffy doesn't want one of the carpenters. He wants their Jolly Roger. And so Sanji's like, but Luffy, we could have a sexy carpenter. And Luffy says, if I actually get what I want, I'd forget why I accepted the challenge in the first place. And I think in a few pages he deliberates on why he accepted the challenge in the first place. But whenever I first read this, you know, my immediate thought was, you know, the reason he accepted this is because it's what a pirate captain should do in his head. Like, everyone says, oh, it's honorable, it's a pirate tradition, you do the Davy back fight. So I was like, yeah, that's
yeah,
that's why Luffy would accept it.
Don't be a dick.
Yeah. Let's see. Oh yeah, and then kind of shortly after that, after Luffy takes their Jolly Roger, the Foxy Pirates take off, and they say, "We'll remember this. We'll remember this." And you know, in One Piece language, on the sticky note, I was like, "AKA, we're gonna see them again."
Man, let's table that discussion.
Yeah. So, I think on the 2 pages after that, Nami.
The ending to this chapter is just fucking dope.
What happened here is the Foxy Pirates take off. They kind of go back to where they were before. Chopper's gonna tend to Sherry's wounds, and then Nami, after they get there, Nami says, "I see why you accepted the challenge," and I don't know what exactly she's referencing here. When she says, "I see why you that's why you accepted the challenge."
The horse.
Yeah, I took it to mean that you did it for the honor of the horse.
Yeah,
to get back.
She did it for the honor of the old man and the horse. That, you know, if Luffy and them weren't there, Foxy Pirates wouldn't have stopped the horseman and whatever. They would have just probably moved on.
Yeah.
So he's like, I have to prove to this guy that like I'm not a bad pirate. I'm better than these people, kind of thing. And I didn't mean him any harm. Like he
personal stake to it.
Yeah.
I just wanted to be sure.
Yeah.
And then like, it's really cool. We waste no time. We immediately go in.
Time.
No time. We turn the page, and one of the Navy's admirals, one of the top boys in the Navy, is here. Admiral Aokiji.
Wee woo,
And he
wee
says,
woo.
You've turned into a pretty woman, Nico Robin. So I was like, oh, we're getting into the fucking Robin arc here.
This guy literally has one person above him in terms of the whole entire like military system.
We were talking about how out of the league Eneru was compared to anything we fought. Even like Luffy technically beats him through an elemental advantage. Aokiji is so many magnitudes stronger than Eneru, and he's just showing up here, and it's like, oh my god,
it's insane.
So I remember Aokiji showing up. I remember that distinctly. But I forgot completely like exactly what all happened. And so I think it happens in this arc, but like the shot of him using his power for the first time is just awesome.
Staggering.
Oh, I was in awe of this man's power.
I want to say this is the first character we've run into, I think, that is in my top 10. Maybe Bon Clay. I'd have to get a ironed out top 10. But I'm very excited that this boy's in the story now, and I can just
It'll be fun to eventually do our Roundabout Cast top 10 character tournament.
Actually, I do want to do some checkups on you, Bradley. Maybe we'll do one now at the end of this discussion.
I can tell you right now, my favorite character is Luffy.
Well, cool. I want to hear the other ones, but we'll do it at the end of this.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, Water 7, the end of the saga, is basically the end of the halfway point of this first half of the series.
So it's General fucking Admiral. I got to give this man the respect he deserves.
Please.
He's a goddamn admiral. So there's like the absolute top of the Navy, the top leader. Directly below him is the 3 admirals.
Yes. Do they know what that guy's name is? Yes, Fleet Admiral Sengoku.
And here we have the names of all the admirals too. We got Akainu, Aokiji, Kizaru, and their translations.
Yeah. Oh god, Kizaru.
This chapter does a lot to let you know how scared you should be of this guy, or maybe not even scared, but how much you should respect him, because this is a navy that, you know, is able to combat the pirates. It's like a worldwide navy, and he is one of the top 3 strongest dudes.
And it's an explanation to how it could happen, because so far, aside from Smoker, we've run into so many chuckle fucks in the Navy.
Like, literal chuckle fucks. Like, the last time we had a Navy-focused arc at all was Axe Hand Morgan. Like, that was one.
Luchtown? No? We don't count Luchtown around here?
It's kind of like a collaboration of everything happening together, but Axe Hand Morgan's the last time we see where it's the Marines as, like, our antagonistic force.
Yeah.
And whatever I forget. I don't know what the fuck One Piece is anymore. But yeah,
another good way to show this guy's power level without words is the fact that he kind of really does not give a fuck about Luffy and his crew.
Yeah.
He is very leisurely laying down. And doesn't he even doze off mid-conversation?
Yeah. And it's cool because he's like, I was just here to check up that Nico Robin was indeed with y'all, so I can report back and we can keep track of where she is, and that's all.
Yeah, and oh, by the way, like, so Aokiji's great because this kind of goes back to a little bit of what I was saying beforehand, where you want to keep the idea of like the Navy in your mind. This is the first person in the Navy that you could say is someone that is okay to be like that it's a good person, like, because he even gets to a point where it's just like, I'm just here to do my job. I'm gonna help this old man do his thing that he needs to do and be on my way.
Well, I mean, once again, Smoker is a good person. He went through the ice cream litmus test.
You're right. This is the other indication of it. I would say.
Yes.
This is the second time that we can see that there is somewhat good in this organization.
Aokiji, he does his own ice cream litmus test where we get that 2-page spread of him freezing the goddamn ocean. This isn't freezing your way across a river. He freezes the fucking ocean, you guys.
What's fascinating about this is because it happens in a page turn, the speed at which he freezes it, you can interpolate it in your mind, and the sound effect of crack, you can get the idea that he did this entire mass of water in like a second.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and he says it's gonna be frozen for what, 10 days?
Insane.
Also, the name of the attack is called Ice Age, which is fucking rad.
The way he looks after doing attacks is the most visually cool power of One Piece so far.
So yeah, I was sitting here and I was like, how can people ever get stronger than Kami and Eru? And here we see someone who's probably even so much stronger, and yet it doesn't feel like bullshit because I'm sitting here, oh, he's an admiral in the Navy. Of course he's going to be this strong. It doesn't feel bullshit to have this person who appears so much more powerful than the most powerful person I've seen in the story so
like
far.
if we're to assume that he's in the group of the 3 strongest people in the Navy, right? We can say that he's easily top 10 or top 15 strongest characters of a series of 800 characters or more.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it's like, okay, this is warranted.
And if this chapter wasn't dropping enough bombs, right after freezing the ocean, he's talking to Luffy, and he says, "You're just like your Gramps, Monkey D. Luffy." And I'm like, fuck.
So,
I think this is the first time Luffy's grandfather has been mentioned at all.
Any kind of family for Luffy, other than Ace.
There's one thing. Last time, we left off on a cliffhanger where Aokiji's reading a newspaper, and he says, "Not a good one among the whole batch of them." And you were like, oh, did he meet Ace in that base? I'm sure that's what's happened. He was actually referring to whoever this grandfather is.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was talking about. I was like, oh, he's in the Navy. He probably knows all about Ace. And I was like, oh, man, he probably wasn't even talking about Ace at all. It's so fascinating. So the Straw Hats, Aokiji's like, okay, I'm just going to kill you guys now.
Another good important moment about this is the first time where Luffy flinches and feels afraid.
Yeah.
Woo.
This is like Luffy is actually worried about this information coming out.
Yeah. When Gramps is mentioned, Luffy becomes like a weenie boy anime protagonist for a little bit.
Weenie boy.
He's just like, no.
I wonder if we'll meet Gramps.
Aokiji's like, okay, this was fun. I'm gonna have to kill you guys. And the Straw Hats start their assault on him, which obviously...
Now we're in the 320.
Yes.
Yes. He's a Logia type. It doesn't work out so well for them. One thing I thought was really cool is Zoro and Sanji immediately jump into a combo attack, which, considering the arc we just went through with them, it's really cool that they did a combo attack.
That's a really cool thing to bring up.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, that's one of my favorite parts of this is he catches the sword and Sanji does his backflips to kick it. It's such a cool animated like series of events. Then Luffy falls in, like you get your monster 3 of the crew going all out on this guy.
They're all taken out by a singular attack, and that attack was him taking their hits.
Yeah,
which is very cool.
God, he's just beast mode. He's just beast mode swag.
Have we seen Kizaru yet?
No. Kizaru's
he
much
was
later.
mentioned for the first time though. This.
Oh, okay. Kizaru is my favorite in character design appearance, and we'll get to that later on. Why?
Yes, we will.
Yeah, I can't wait. That boy frustrates me, but also I love him.
One thing that's really cool is after it's clear the Straw Hats are not going to win this, Luffy decides to challenge Aokiji to a one-on-one fight, and we see why a little bit later, where I think it is so cool. I really love the honor system that I was about to say pirates, but seemingly also the Navy has in this universe sometimes, where
individually it depends on the individual.
Yeah, depends on the individual, of course. At least among Luffy and Aokiji, it's very cool how a one-on-one fight is so respected. Luffy challenged him to a one-on-one fight so that he wouldn't fight the other Straw Hats, and Aokiji recognizes that. He defeats Luffy pretty soundly, and he says, well, I can't lay a hand on the others because I'd be breaking my word. It was a one-on-one fight, and I think it's really cool that he respects that, even to a pirate.
Before that one-on-one fight challenge, there's two things I really like about this chapter.
Yeah.
One is the idea that with a single punch, Aokiji can now kill Robin in one attack, and the struggle to get her away. We have yet to meet a single character who has a one-hit kill. And if he did this, it's not going to be like Pell, and it's not going to be like Conus's dad, where they can tank the lightning or tank the explosion. If you're shattering someone in half, that is a one-hit kill, even in One Piece.
Yeah, you can't really tank getting shattered in half.
I mean, maybe if Chopper puts a cast on you, like you'll reform, but it's
Put some cold peas on it. I don't know.
And I really like Nami immediately fighting as well. It goes to show you that like Nami is one of the cowards of the crew down there with like Usopp and Chopper, right? But as soon as the chips are down, she immediately goes in to protect her crew. Just a great moment there.
It's a great. So like I feel like the big part of the last arc was about crew. I'm losing the word, but the unification of the crew.
Okay.
How the crew is connected to each other, that they're going to fight for each other. Like that was a big part of the arc. That's why they were doing that whole thing, is that they don't lose someone in the crew. And so this is just like, okay, well now when the chips are down, like you said, when there's a life or death situation going on, they're being serious. They're not going to leave someone behind. And the only person that's willing to be sacrificed is the captain, kind of like going down with their ship kind of deal. So this is kind of like the point now where we're starting to delve more into like. So my question here for you, Bradley, is Aokiji has some prior knowledge about Robin. Like, what are your initial thoughts on any of this, like right now? Especially the big one to me that stood out in this whole chapter is every organization you've been associated to date has fallen.
Yeah, that's a great line.
Yeah, I have some stuff I'll probably say about this later, but I also want to talk about it now, where he has a point that it would be quite the coincidence if somehow all of these organizations fell apart, but she's the only thing that ends up coming out okay from these organizations. And I believe I have some theories later on I wanted to point out that, I don't know, these things these people are telling me about Robin, they're really getting to me, and I'm really worried, like in an in-universe perspective.
Got you shook.
Oh no, maybe they're right. Maybe she is bad.
Maybe Robin not so good.
It's also the indication that it's not just Baroque works; it's other things as well.
Oh yeah,
organizations. So very interesting.
You were there.
I love how 321 opens up with Chopper doctor moment. Anytime Chopper has a doctor moment, it's a plus for me.
Oh yeah, Chopper is a good boy.
Doctor, give me the news.
Around the end of this chapter, so Aokiji clearly could have ended One Piece right here. He could have killed Luffy. He does not, though, and I think this is really fun. It would be really easy for this super powerful guy to just totally write off Luffy's accomplishments, like, oh, that was nothing, I could have done that. He actually considers Luffy taking care of Crocodile a favor. That I'm sure Aokiji could have taken out Crocodile, but
okay, so here's something you need to remember about that. Crocodile was technically part of the world government.
Yeah.
So meaning they are technically allies and that they work together.
Yeah. Furthermore, Aokiji operates usually much deeper in the Grand Line, where stuff is more seriously, where the geographical power scale comes through here.
Well, the point I was going to make is that Aokiji basically thanked Luffy for taking out one of his team members. That's the fact I was getting at, because he was a warlord of the sea. So it's just an interesting thought where like it's just a small little character trait that Aokiji saw what Crocodile was doing and didn't like it. It's just something to keep in mind.
That is really interesting. I'm glad you brought it up. It's a way to give a lot of depth, not only to this character, but also the organization he's associated with, all in one sentence.
Yeah.
It also shows a little bit that even though that there are pirates that are protected by the government, it's that there are people that disagree with that philosophy as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. As much as Crocodile was employed by the government, clearly he was a problematic bad egg.
Yeah.
And we've seen the character of Doflamingo being sketchy. I believe Mihawk. We haven't seen him do anything too bad, but he also seems like he's really lazy. He's just coming into the East Blue to fuck around. So these are some bad eggs here.
I don't know. I just felt like I should destroy y'all.
Yeah, whatever.
So shortly after he spares Luffy's life, he says, and oh, never mind about Smoker's silly message. I didn't want to dig through old volumes to find what this message might have been. Do we know what he's referencing here?
That's too bad, Bradley, because I'm not gonna dig for you for that one. Someone should let us know in the comics. I don't remember.
Okay, but we're going to talk about this where Aokiji literally bodies Luffy in the midair.
Yeah.
With rap.
Weird how we skipped the really badass part where Luffy uses his strongest attack on Aokiji and Aokiji just bodies him.
Literally the same attack he uses to defeat Crocodile.
Yeah. I love that. We just get back to the fight. It's the second attack he does in the whole fight as far as we see it. It's his strongest possible attack, and Aokiji beats him in a fantastic 2-page spread.
It's a lot of fun. Everyone's okay. No one died. We're good.
So I have a question. Do you think Luffy is weaker to Aokiji because he's rubber?
Sure.
Ooh, because rubber's not as malleable when it's cold, right?
Yeah, it pretty much shatters whenever you freeze.
Ooh.
I'd say that's viable.
I like that One Piece has type advantages.
Except everyone is just one type.
Yeah.
There's no others.
Oh, I'm sure there's dual types if we really think about it.
Eventually. I know one I can think of.
There you go.
So the crew is like, okay, we're gonna go to Water 7, City of Water, blah blah blah. Everyone's back on the ship, and I put a sticky note here because I thought this one small interaction here was really cool. And now that I've read ahead, I think it is so much even cooler than it was when I read it for the first time. Usopp is laying on the ship.
Ah, yes.
He's very downtrodden because he said, our guys as powerful as that going to be coming after us from now on. He's very upset because he says, all I did was run around a lot. And, Zoro's like, go to sleep, idiot. You're tired. So I'll kind of talk about what my thoughts were the first time I read this when I put the sticky note down and what my thoughts are now.
Yeah.
So my initial thoughts were, it's been a really long time since we've had a good Zoro-Usopp interaction. I think it's really cool that Zoro probably has gained some respect for Usopp over time. I think back in the day, Zoro would have just been like, yeah, you're useless. But here, he kind of writes it off. He's like, no, you're tired. You need sleep. It's fine.
Yeah, he's very much he's not saying it out loud, but he's very much like, don't blame yourself for anything. Like, just because like I think everyone could walk away with that and be like, I can't believe we lived.
And now having seen future events, this is even more god tier than I even realized.
Yeah.
This is introducing Usopp's insecurities here to us, which is going to be such a huge part of the incoming arc.
I don't think it's introducing it. I think it's touching on it again.
But it's getting it in your mind.
Yeah.
It's very, very interesting. I really love this moment.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad that you caught the foreshadowing in it, having read the volume after as well.
That's so cool. And of course, Robin is lying awake, and we don't get thought bubbles from her often, if ever. So
yeah,
who knows what she's thinking about?
Who knows?
Who knows? So you obviously know what Water 7 is now, but what was your first thought to what Water 7 was going to be when they told you the City of Water?
What's that?
So when they first called it the City of Water, what was your first thought that Water 7 would be like?
Oh man, I honestly had no idea. I certainly did not expect it to be. One, I didn't expect it to be kind of like a Venice type deal where the whole city's on the water, and two, I didn't expect it to be the shipbuilding capital of the planet, basically.
Yeah, I remember like the way I asked this question because I love Water 7's aesthetic and like what it is. My original thought was literally like, for some reason, a bunch of like floating docks like tied together.
That's
almost.
that's what I thought. I thought it would be 7 islands facing each other like in a circle.
Something that had 7, and it kind of deals with that, but it's not really much like that at all. Another thing, there are 2 things in this like page with Aokiji on it before he leaves that I realized was, number 1 is that they have a list of where each island points to on its log pose.
Oh,
Which is interesting because he checks his list. He's like, oh, where do they go next? Oh, okay, all right, and then he leaves.
Right.
The second thing I didn't realize is that Aokiji freezes the water when he pedals his bike across of it. I just never picked up on that note.
Oh, that's the best part. Yeah, that's how he rides on the surface of water.
I just thought the bike floated.
Oda does a lot of fun stuff to tease devil fruit powers, because obviously we saw him riding on the surface of the water in the previous volume, but we didn't know how because we were like directly horizontal from him.
Yeah.
And it's also fun because I remember back in Alabasta when Mr. won, he pulled his hand back and it started humming and shaking.
Yeah.
And someone stopped him, and it's like, oh god, I really want to see what he does.
There's also the moment where Mr. 2 kicks him through the wall, but the way that the wall splits is in a perfect dice like circle.
Yeah.
We haven't talked about, but Gadots has a story going on here that is just like kind of random, and then it gets really funny.
Watching this, I'm just like, what the hell is happening?
It's half him being a goofball, and then half him destroying and taking over different kings, as they're called. It's really goofy.
It's really weird.
Tyler's making some badass thumbnails, by the way.
Yeah, Tyler is here pitching it every once in a while, but he's working.
Tyler, those thumbnails look awesome.
I'm still here, but I'm not allowed to talk about One Piece when Bradley's talking.
I mean, you did spoil the moon reveal, even though thankfully Bradley is good at bouncing stuff off his head.
I didn't even catch that.
You super did.
Yeah, see, I'm not allowed to talk.
He spoiled stuff about the moon that, like, anyways.
I didn't even hear any of it, I don't think.
Don't worry about it. You don't need to worry about it anymore.
Just keep that Tyler filter on lock.
There we go.
Really cool thing at the beginning of this next chapter, 322, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So, very early on, Robin, comes out. She's doing much better. She says, thanks to you, I feel much better. Thank you, doctor. We've been kind of keeping tabs on when she refers to people by their title rather than their name. And I haven't mentioned the past few occurrences just because it's been, it's a very constant thing. I wanted to mention it again whenever there's a deviation. I wanted to mention it here. That I find this very interesting for 2 reasons. The first reason is Chopper just saved her fucking life. He still calls him doctor. But also I wanted to bring it up because of some very recent accusations towards Robin. So in light of these recent accusations about how her loyalty might not lie entirely with the Straw Hats and the fate of other organizations that have had her in it, my current, worry, hypothesis, whatever the fuck you want to call it, is that maybe she doesn't want to use their names because she doesn't want to get attached. She has been with many other organizations probably for much longer than the Straw Hats. And in her mind, she could either be thinking, maybe I'm going to be leaving these guys, I don't want to get attached, or even that she might betray them herself someday and she doesn't want to use their names and let it be personal to her.
Well, Bradley, I think, I think you got it.
So, obviously, I can't know how on the money I am, if at all, but
you're so wrong.
I mean, let's just say that when I was reading it, that is the thought that dawned on me as well the first time.
Yeah. So it's very interesting.
Yeah.
I realized something when we were talking about Usopp. And you mentioning this just reminded me about now, but I want to wait till it later during the big fight because it changed more to that. Hopefully I can remember it, but it's a really small bit of foreshadowing that happened earlier, and it deals with my Robin degeneracy, but we'll move on.
The Straw Hats kind of move on towards Water 7. Along the way, they meet Kokoro and Chimney. I don't know. They're fun. I don't really have anything to say about them.
Kokoro means heart, and chimney means chimney.
You
Now,
guys make my Kokoro go doki
no,
doki.
we're just gonna skip the fact that there's a goddamn train in the water.
I mean, yeah, it's cool.
This is so cool. They don't even know what a train is. They don't know what they just saw. They've never seen a train.
This was such a big like what the fuck moment for me in One Piece because a literal train just comes into the like just barrels through the scene.
Even Robin's freaking out here, like in this page that passes, and Zoro, like the coolest heads in the crew, are like, "What the fuck was that?" God, the sea train is so cool to me.
The train is really cool.
Train is both cool and dumb to me because it's like it's something where it's like this doesn't make any sense. But
yeah,
the same...
shut up though.
Yeah, but that's also the point. Like, yeah, shut up.
It does make sense if you know how the train was built, and you know how the train was built. So it does make sense.
I'm talking about the first time I saw it.
Yeah,
I'm so dumb, but at the same time, I kind of love it.
I think it's cool that in the Grand Line, where it's very inconvenient usually to go between islands, just because log poses and fucking tides and all that bullshit.
Yeah.
I think it makes sense that at some point people would have been like, "Hey, what's the fucking train?"
That was the next thing I was getting to. But kind of like it also makes sense that this thing there is a consistent form of transportation between islands.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, I don't think you'd be able to function if, like, I have to deliver these life-saving medicines, but I can't because my log post is broken.
You should send Sam Porter Bridges. He'll do it.
It would probably be much harder for a city to grow like Water 7 has if it was impossible to get there.
So Bradley, what do you think about this frog?
He got knocked off into the distance. I bet he's gonna come back. I bet he's gonna be the final boss.
I gotta say, it's pretty dumb for someone to like try to stop a train, don't you think?
Yeah, but I mean,
Luffy respects the frog, where he's like, "Oh, the willpower."
That frog's cooler than us, so it's fine.
Yeah.
So we're setting two very clear expectations going to Water 7. We're going to recruit a carpenter, and we're going to fix the Mary.
Yeah, and this is really interesting. Luffy has this big. He ends the chapter with this big panel. He's like, "All right, it's decided. We're going, and we'll find a carpenter to join our crew." I mentioned last week that I don't know. I never even knew Robin was going to join the crew. I don't know what the future cast of One Piece is. So from this moment on, I don't know who, if anybody, will join the crew in the future. Mm-hmm. I assume we're going to get more teammates in the future, but seeing this,
we're done.
Okay, this could be really cool. We might be getting a new crew member soon. We could be getting a carpenter, but there's also a part of me that's like, oh, maybe Usopp will find that as his place in the crew, where he'll finally have a label that he's wanted, where he has this use in the crew. He doesn't have to feel useless. Maybe he'll be the carpenter.
Well, just remember, we're holding you to vote for your favorite pick each arc. If there is someone, we won't tell you if anyone joins, but each arc you get to be a true One Piece fan and vote for who you'd like to join, because that's part of the experience.
I think I have my vote right now.
We'll save it. We'll save it
when we get there.
So we're gonna save it to the end of this podcast, or save it when you get.
We'll talk about it at the point where Bradley decided that they would be a good pick.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Sounds good.
The next chapter is called Water 7: The City of Water, and
remember how you mentioned about going to New York last time, Bradley?
Yeah. Well, this is more Venice.
This isn't fucking. Are you serious?
Like New York. It's nothing like any city in real life.
Whose man's is this?
I think, though, of all the One Piece that there is, this is the most New York-like city. It's the biggest city I think they mention in all of One Piece.
It's big.
This is Venice out the butt.
In terms of like the group of people that are coming together, because it's literally a hub for the train.
The locals are New Yorkers. You're right.
That's what I'm getting at. Is like it's very much the staging grounds for industry and production.
I'm sure you could find the Frankie family at Central Park doing dumb shit. You're right.
Yeah. Frankie's a New York name. Most of this chapter is the Straw Hats coming up on the city, and we get a really cool first peek at the Galley Law Company, shipbuilding company. They kick ass.
I love all of these directions and drawings of the people. It's just a giant nipple.
I don't know.
What?
Of Water 7, the page where like they're like, oh yeah, she gave us a map, and it's just like a big nipple basically.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, Galley Law Company has some fire designs.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't have a ton to say about that chapter because it's mostly just, hey, here's the city, and hey, here's these carpenters.
Moving on.
Moving on, chapter 324, Adventures in the City on the Water. Everyone, we really get to start seeing the city here, and it's clear how cool of a concept this city is. They're going to have these seahorse things that they ride around on, and there's these canals that go up and down and on roofs and through alleys and all this cool stuff.
The world building on Water 7's fucking nuts. Like the thing where like you go into a certain chamber where the water lowers or rises as an elevator so you can get into the main part of the city. So cool.
And there's all these different districts, and the way the buildings look are very distinct from what we've seen before, and there's even very distinct people walking around. You'll see
the festival with the masks. Yeah.
Yeah, it in a very short span of time, we get a good feel for the city. It's very interesting. Luffy and them make it to the shipbuilding center around the time that the Frankie boys try to jump Zolo on the ship. I said Zolo. Oh my god.
Yeah, that's one spanking.
You're about to get
Chapter 325, the franking. What the fuck is wrong with me?
I said franking. The fracking family.
Chapter 325 starts with a clang. And I guess this is Berserk now, because clang is the Berserk sound effect. I just loved it.
Yeah, Miura copyrighted that one.
Talk about sound effects. One sound effect that Oda loves doing is...
Yeah.
He does Doom a lot. I think it's...
That is the One Piece sound effect.
Yeah, there was one panel where I think Usopp flexed with his zero muscles, and it was like Doom.
Well, it's like a the sound effect is very clear in my mind because in the anime and in the video games, everything you do ends with this sound effect. Like when you do your ultimates in Pirate Warriors 3. If you kill enough units, you get this sound effect. And
yeah, I can imagine what it sounds like, but I can't do the sound with my mouth.
It's not Doom. It's more like whatever. Yeah, let's move on.
People know.
People know.
Oh man, what a babe!
Robin's wearing a very tight leather suit dress with long hooker boots. Not even hooker boots. These are. I was about to say classier, but not even class. I don't know how you. She's hot. Is what we're trying to.
This is her default outfit.
On this blessed day, we're all Joe.
Yep.
She's very hot. We all know it.
Yep. Still not a cowboy, though.
A masked person walks by her saying, "I'm with CP9,"
Woo!
which freaks her the fuck out. Which she has a very... Normally her demeanor is very calm and collected. This really freaks her out. And she, shortly after...
Even when she gets kind of like stunned, she's not like she's. It's more of like a jump scare kind of thing. This is
like she's having trouble composing herself here.
While that's going on, the Straw Hats. What's going on?
I was just gonna say, speaking of hot, I think Nami negotiating for the gold is pretty spicy.
Yeah. I thought about mentioning it, but I don't need to get all worked up during recording. So.
Moving on.
They do get 300 million berries from that encounter, which is pretty hot.
That is
contributes to what Nami can also do, is that she is the person that is not intimidated by other people when it comes in terms of like negotiation. She does not get intimidated when it comes to negotiation. Yeah. And their negotiator when it comes to the ship.
And I feel like it's because she knows she can trust her crew enough to back her up if things get hectic.
Her first line is like, first of all, this guy has $100 million on his head. So just keep that in mind while I tell you the rest of this.
And then she says, bitch.
So the gold that they got, all that gold is worth 3 times Luffy's danger worth.
Ooh. They take that money to Dock 1 at the shipbuilding company where they meet Kaku, and I just kind of immediately liked him.
Kaku's got a great design. I love him.
Kaku's great.
He's a very, very kind and hardworking young man. And this is kind of a fun running gag throughout this arc so far where people think he's Usopp because they have that long noses.
I think Zoro has one coming up that is just hilarious.
And it's fun. Whenever they tell him where their ship is so we can go check on it, he just takes off and runs and jumps around the buildings.
I think it's a great character moment too, because it's like it also shows you a little bit about the city and the people that work in it. Is that this is just they come in and out and they know everything about shipbuilding. Like we were mentioning before, like how everyone has a role. The people of Water 7 that work there know that they are a shipbuilding company and know exactly, like, oh, these people are here for the boat. I immediately know what I need to go do. I'm going to go do it. Like, there's no hesitation whatsoever. Yep.
There's also this idea that these dock workers, the first thing we see them do is beat pirates, and then we see them scoff at the world government.
Yeah.
So these are some tough motherfuckers right here. They're very independent and they won't take flack from any party.
Yeah, they don't give a fuck.
Yeah. Love it.
I think Kaku's really fun because of his jumping around and running around. It sticks with Luffy. Luffy thinks it's so cool.
Yeah.
And from this point on in the arc, anytime he wants to go anywhere, he just runs and jumps around on the building because he's like, Kaku did it. Even though Luffy's not nearly as good at it.
The first notable part of the Gadatsu storyline pops up where he meets the legendary boss of the Earth.
Yeah, we have a Gadatsu cover story, which we haven't been mentioning. But
the punchline is basically like, whoops, I accidentally did this thing really well, or I accidentally did this thing really poorly.
Yeah. Gadatsu wasn't my first choice. I mean, this isn't a Portgas D Ace cover story.
Yeah.
I think whoever came after Ace was going to be a letdown just because I love him. I mean, obviously, I'm interested to see where this goes.
It's a weird one, to be sure.
I have to say I did not expect a cover story for Gadatsu.
No one did.
The next chapter opens with Sanji is able to spot Robin shortly before she disappears.
Okay. Yes. Yeah. All right. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Keep going.
This disappearance is very strange.
Yeah, it leaves me wondering how she did it. I feel like a lot of Water 7 is going to be a mystery. I think in the next volume, I'm getting murder mystery vibes a little bit.
There's some good answers to this question that I can't wait to refer to in the future.
Very excited.
Dragon Ball Z episode 462. But yeah.
We meet Iceberg. He's very cool. And Oda's very good at subverting your expectations when it comes to meeting new characters because he comes off as a very serious, hard-working guy when in fact he's the exact opposite.
Iceberg is like if Bradley was mayor.
He's just like she tells him all the stuff he has to do and he's like I'm not gonna do that.
Bradley.
He's just like I really don't feel like doing it.
I think Iceberg is very Bradley.
Yeah.
I really resonated with him a lot.
He's great. We also meet Khalifa.
Yes.
The plant Pokemon.
And it's funny. I don't know if it was here or in volume 35 where Iceberg and Khalifa, I'm going to say Khalifa.
Okay.
They are talking and she's like, Iceberg, there's pirates causing problems at the dock. It's sexual harassment. And like, yes, it's sexual harassment.
That's her gimmick, Bradley, so you watch your mouth around her, or else she'll call you out.
Yeah.
I thought it was a lot of fun. It's very funny. The Frankie Frank pirates. No, they're not pirates, and they're not Frankie Frank.
They're bounty hunters.
The Frankie family are trying to take the Straw Hats' money. They get promptly stopped by some of these carpenters for the Galley Law Company, and we get more peeks at them. I really like Rob Lucci or rather, I like his pigeon. I don't know which of them I like because I don't know which one is the sentient one here.
You'll never know. I want to give shout outs to Paulie. He was definitely one of my favorite characters as I was reading this the first time.
Yeah, like it was just like, oh man, what a cool idea! Like a rope boy, rope dude. Rope's cool. Rope's fun.
To show my hand, as I was reading this, Paulie was my dream boy to join the Straw Hats. I was like, that's the carpenter I want.
Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, Kaku was mine. I saw him and I thought he was a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
I would really like him to be in the Straw Hats. My answer, as of now, at the time I met Kaku, I was like, he's my nominee for the Straw Hats. It's not. I don't think he's my nominee now. I do really love him though.
Interesting. Rob Lucci's fucking cool though.
Rob Lucci.
He's so interesting. I love this pigeon thing where I don't know, everyone's kind of onto it where this pigeon's talking for this guy and the pigeon will trip over itself. I don't know, it's so fascinating.
I like how Luffy interacts with them too. It's so goofy but fun.
Yeah.
So there's sorry, keep going.
I was about to close out the volume. If there's something more you want to talk about.
My big thing here was that in this scene where he's talking to Rob Lucci, Iceberg mentions to not underestimate Frankie. It's a telling point that Iceberg knows more about Lucci and he's the one that mentions it. But it seems like everyone else sees him as a nuisance.
Yeah.
Like the guy Locke can handle them pretty easily. Like we saw that, but like Iceberg is not. It's like because this entire time I've been interacting with Iceberg, he's been very much kind of aloof and just blah blah and just like, oh, whatever, we'll get your ship fixed and whatnot. And then, but he kind of takes a slight pause and gets a little bit more serious when he mentions Frankie. I just thought I'd bring that up.
Yeah, it's a good build up to how much of a threat Frankie is in the next volume. When we actually meet him, I just love this. Think about it for a second. The person who made fun of you and provoked you was the pigeon. The way Luffy is completely fooled by the... I mean, is he? Is it ventriloquism? Who knows?
Yeah, I like that Joe brought that up. That was really cool. And I totally would have glossed over it probably.
This is why I'm here.
I will say the last panel of this volume kind of terrified me. They bring up the possibility that the Mary Go might never sail again, and I was actually coming from Skypiea, where Mary Go was its own character almost. This was very scary for me, and it still is scary. I don't know what's gonna happen.
This is one of those sublime moments for me, where it's like
I really don't know what's gonna happen.
Watching the build up to this moment of tension on my reread, I was like, oh man. Usopp is really taking care of the Mary, and you think about Usopp's relationship with the person who gave the Mary to the crew and how he's been taking care of it, which we're gonna talk about a lot as we go into volume 35.
Yeah, we're at a point in One Piece where
you don't know what's gonna happen.
I seriously don't know, because very early One Piece stuff, like, I know who that Sanji guy is. I know he's going to be in the crew eventually. Like, I have no fucking idea what's going to happen. When they bring up the possibility that the Mary Go could be done, I'm like, fuck.
Let's take a break for a little bit.
Yeah, if you're at home, go pee.
You're not.
I'm going to pee all.
And we're back. Tyler had to step out gracefully. He is Employee of the Month, so that is okay.
The new thing looks so cool.
As he is now assistant editor, he has become a god. I only say assistant because he will soon take my role as full-time thumbnail editor. But I still do these videos and podcasts and whatnot. We're transitioning into volume 35, which I hate to overhype, but I think it's fun sometimes just to see how it goes.
Yeah,
I love Water 7.
And I told Bradley that this was the best volume we have read of One Piece thus far, and I mean it. For me personally, it definitely is so far.
Yeah. To decide if this is in fact my favorite volume so far, the only thing that might rival it is Arlong Park, which is probably my favorite, but this is really challenging it, and it might overtake it.
Would it be the volume with Nami's flashback that you would rank your favorite right now?
Maybe so.
Maybe so.
Um,
Well, let's see how this goes then.
I know which one's mine for sure. It's
I
coming
mean,
up to 200.
This isn't my favorite volume. It's just so
I know,
far.
I know the exact moment that's my favorite moment in One Piece, and I've told Willer this before.
Oh yeah, I mean I think that's everyone's favorite moment of One Piece. It's so good. All right, 328.
so this volume, the volumes of One Piece start with these funny Oda quotes, and I never really talk about them.
Mhm.
This one, for some reason, I thought was just really hilarious. So I want to read it. This quote by Oda Sensei from 2004. It is said that prior to the Meiji era, the Japanese walked left foot and left arm forward, and then right foot and right arm forward. He says, if that is so, I think the Japanese of old were always very nervous. The reason for this, of course, is that at the piano recital tomorrow, Mariko, whom Takashi secretly admires, is going to be coming to watch.
Oh my god, what a
Everyone in
gem!
ancient Japan was nervous because at their piano recital tomorrow, the crush was going to be there. I don't know. I
Brilliant.
thought this was hilarious. All of Oda's quotes are actually really funny. I'm not going to talk about all of them. That one was just especially hilarious.
Oda's a funny guy. I
I-
can't wait to figure out he's 10 people.
Onto the discussion. I do want to bring up volume 34. I was talking to Joe as I was reading it, Bradley. This is a volume that on reread is the creepiest volume of One Piece we've read so far. There are so many background unsettling tone setters.
Willard too, where it's just like the first read of this volume or the first read of this arc has a completely different feel than the second read of the arc.
Yeah, I really want you to reflect on some of these earlier volumes when we get to the end of Water 7, because
Maybe not even like the saga, but like,
well,
yeah,
well,
you'll know.
you'll know. And this arc is just, and you can see it build up really, like even on a first read, this tone that this volume 35 gives of just the demise of the friendship of Luffy and Usopp and the predicament with the Mary. There's so much other insidious stuff going on around it. It's very cool. But yeah, let's go into it.
Yeah, this volume picks up immediately after the last one leaves off, where we're introducing the predicament that maybe the merry-go will not be able to sail again. And they're explaining it because of the nature of what's broken on the merry-go, the keel, which is kind of the backbone of a ship, that they probably wouldn't be able to replace it. And if they were replacing the merry-go, they would essentially be rebuilding the whole ship from scratch, which, you know, most people have heard of it, this famous philosophical problem, and I might butcher the pronunciation, the ship of Theseus, or Thesis, I don't know how you pronounce it.
My boy said Theseus.
I don't know how you pronounce it.
I mean,
Yeah,
Theseus,
Theseus.
Theseus? Okay, that's much more Greek.
Yeah, Theseus is like your Hispanic cousin.
Yeah, and you know, the way it goes is that you have a hypothetical ship that people sail, something breaks, they take it in, they replace these planks, and then they sail some more, they keep going, oh, we need to replace some boards here, and the idea is eventually, if you keep repairing the ship, at some point, everything on the ship, all the boards, the sails, the nails, everything will have been replaced. And if every component of the ship has been replaced, even if it's identical, is it still the same ship?
I'm kind of having a moment here as you're explaining the Theseus paradox again. There is some really cool thematic things in this arc. I want you to remember this, actually.
Yeah, I feel like this is going to be a big part of the arc. And it's also very immediately relevant here. I find it funny. Most of the times I see the Theseus problem come up, it's in reference to things that are not, in fact, ships. It comes up a lot in sci-fi where it's like, oh, what makes a person a person? So I thought it was fun here that for once the problem is actually applied to a ship.
But
think-
then also very immediately, like there's stuff even beyond this that I can't wait to talk about eventually. But very immediately, the fracturing of the Straw Hats could be seen as a Theseus problem too.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a spoiler. We're about to talk about it, but with Usopp having to leave the crew with the Mary, it's like, is the crew even the crew anymore? How many people? How many snipers do you have to replace? How many ships do you replace while your crew is still your crew? It's a fascinating thing to think about when they apply to that.
If you ask someone who the Straw Hats are, it's like, oh, it's Luffy's gang, it's Zoro and Sanji and Usopp and all of them. So if you remove Usopp from that equation,
And you remove the merry-go as well, like, what is that? That's
They-
weird.
The
Straw
other thing
Hats
is,
is the name, but it's not the same Straw Hats.
yeah, and the other thing too, the question is also like, do you actually replace that person? Like, do you do that? Like, if like, do you just leave that hole be there, or do you actually do that? Because it's kind of like the idea of like, if I replace Usopp, I'm proving the point of like he's replaceable. But if I don't replace Usopp, I can't. That role's not filled.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's a paradox of
Let's
like,
let's keep that in mind. Actually,
Yeah.
as we read through this arc, this is something I'll do too. That's interesting.
Yeah. It's and anything that has like shares a theme with one of my favorite stories is going to do well.
Heyo.
This like one of the core themes of Berserk, and probably my favorite quote in that story is that even if you fix something, it won't be exactly the same as it was before. And the pigeon here says something just like that. You know, no two trees grow the same. We could build the exact same ship, but in subtle ways it would be different. And even if we could build a ship that is literally identical, the sensation that it's a different vessel would still be felt by your crew.
Yeah.
You're never going to get something exactly the same.
another important thing to note there is that he mentions specifically that it's made entirely out of wood.
Yeah.
That's also a great kind of that connects also back to the crew, because wood is naturally grown and the crew has naturally come together.
Yeah.
It's not like they've gone out and hired Usopp and hired Nami. They have come together naturally as people, like becoming friends and joining together on one cause.
And let's talk about the crew coming together. Isn't it weird that this is the first arc the Straw Hats have gone into an island with a goal?
Yeah, a goal of finding a person.
And of getting the ship replaced. So much of their other arcs is like, we need to stop here to stock up or eat food at Baratier.
Or
Yeah.
we're getting hired to transport this princess across the world to save her kingdom, or whatever. If there's never an internal struggle for the crew. This is the first island where there's an internal kind of thing happening within the crew.
Yeah, interesting. Ooh, good discussion already.
So, like right off the bat, this volume is fucking fire. Is what we're trying to say. They realize that 200 million of their berries has been taken, and Nami finds the Usopp, who is kidnapped shortly and beaten.
Skip over Lulu and his cowlick.
That's fine.
He's
Actually,
cool. I don't know.
so hold on. There's actually a lot I want to bring up before we get to that.
Okay.
Iceberg says, "I'm amazed you call yourself the ship's captain."
Mm-hmm.
This is maybe the most important quote of all of Water 7.
Fuck.
I feel like
This volume's called Captain.
oh my fuck. Okay, yeah. No, this is the thesis statement of Water 7. And I don't even, that's not even like a spoiler. You've already seen it with Usopp.
Yeah, because Luffy exhibits behavior that Usopp, he says things like, this is not the Luffy I know. This is what a captain would do.
Look at Luffy's face here. We never get to be in Luffy's head except that one time where he was literally yelling about ringing a bell, right?
Yeah.
I want to say, because we never get to see in his head, this is something that you only have to confirm through the storytelling. You have to infer this yourself. I want to say that this quote destroyed Luffy inside a little bit and made him recontextualize how he needs to act throughout the rest of this entire arc.
In series almost.
And
Like-
possibly, as we read through this is just my hypothesis right now, but I want to point out cases of which I think I'm right, that this is like the most impactful thing Luffy hears this arc.
Yeah, it's like, who knows what Iceberg saying this, who knows what impact that had on the rest of the story.
Yeah. Furthermore, this is the first time we've ever seen world government officials.
Not Navy, world government.
Not Navy. Yeah.
Well,
And,
sorry, we saw 4 dudes that were part of the world government.
right, we saw the old guys, right?
First time that we've seen them, a minion, I guess, of the world government.
Out and about. And I like how he's like, I smell pirates. But anyways, like, he's like, oh, you, I don't have time to deal with this, but you know you're doing something illegal, right? It's cool. But yeah, Usopp gets beat the fuck up, and he looks horrible.
Yeah.
I do find it interesting that the further we go into the Grand Line, the less of a fuck all walks of people give about pirates.
Mm-hmm.
Like, general people, Navy people, everyone's just like, yeah, whatever, strong pirates come through here all the fucking time.
Yeah.
Peoply Lulu's cool, I guess.
I just like the joke of like, oh, let me fix it. He just puts it in.
That was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Oda's able to take time to put in fun gags like that.
I like face. Ah!
So they realize their money's been taken, and Nami is able to find the beaten Usopp on the ground. And one thing I think is, I don't know quite how Oda is able to accomplish this. Oda will have characters crying, and a lot of times it's Usopp, and he uses it most of the time in a very comical, like way, a very comical tone. Like, oh, Usopp's crying because he got hurt, but it doesn't come off that way here. You're immediately, Usopp is very hurt, not just physically but emotionally, when he says, "I can't face the others."
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how Oda manages tone that well, but he does.
So Oda has a thing with crying, and he's said this in interviews and SBSs and stuff. When Oda makes people cry, you notice he always does the ugly cry. He does the cry where snot's coming out of your mouth, and your mouth looks pathetic, and your nose is runny, and your eyes are just leaking. He always does that, and it's very important.
His crying feels so real.
And furthermore, like when Usopp says, there's this dramatic irony that starts from this point on, where Usopp feels defeated, and he's like, we just gotta fix the Mary, like that's what this was all for, all this, like we're gonna fix the Mary, and we need to get that gold back. But Nami and Luffy know the truth, and Zoro, that you can't fix the Mary. These shipwrights are not gonna do it, at least. They say it's impossible.
It's very sad, and we talked a lot in Skypiea. You guys really, I hadn't thought about it until you guys really brought it up, how much the Mary really means to Usopp because of where they got it from. And even at the beginning of the next chapter, even Sanji, that's what's on his mind. Whenever he hears the news about the Mary Go, he says, I wonder what Usopp's going to say.
Yeah, which was really
just
good.
I just love how in the head of his characters Oda is.
There's another layer to it. Usopp and the Mary, it's not just Kaya, but Usopp being able to take care of the Mary as long as he did was his way to cope and feel useful to the crew. No one else could patch up the Mary like he could.
You're so right.
By taking that role away from him, by taking the one thing he had over anyone else in the crew, his patheticness over losing the gold, on top of that, on top of what happens with the Frankie family later on, this is soul crushing to Usopp. It is taking away everything from him.
It's crazy to me that Usopp used to be my least favorite character in this story. I remember back when we met him, I was just, he's a douchebag.
I was just listening to that the other day, just for funsies.
He has come such a long way as a character, both in universe and out of universe for me. He's an excellent character, and he just got so much better in this arc.
Yeah, and it'll get even better. I feel like there was one more thing I wanted to bring up, but let's move on.
I'll say I kind of jumped into the next chapter a little bit ahead of time, where the people who are back on the merry-go get the news, and Sanji's like, "Oh, I wonder what Usopp's gonna think." And very soon, we get a peek at the Frankie house, and there's a big crash, and this panel where Usopp gets his doom sound effect, he just looks like such a badass.
Yeah.
He like breaks down the wall of this place and he's like, give us our fucking money back.
I was gonna ask, what was your gut reaction when the money was stolen? Because for me, it was like a cold, sinking reaction.
I mean,
it hit me really hard.
Obviously, I was very upset. I didn't know that it would end up being as big of a deal as it is until I saw Usopp's reaction to it, that he can't face the others. Because I was like, oh, you know, their money just got stolen last chapter. They got that back, no problem. But after I saw Usopp's reaction, I realized that this is going to be a very big deal.
And the reveal that the money is spent.
It's already spent.
Yeah, that's crushing.
Man. And Usopp gets his moment to be badass when he charges in, but he gets kicked while he's down. Frankie really just kind of destroys him, and I was very sad for Usopp at this point. He was already at his lowest moment, and he just got brought even lower. He's been humbled in pretty much every way over the past chapter and a half. Like, holy fuck.
Yeah. And the whole time he's screaming and squealing about getting the money to fix back his ship that he doesn't know is doomed. It is so tragic right now. Oh.
It really is so tragic, and God, I want to give Usopp a hug, but he'd probably... That's the thing, is giving him sympathy would only make it worse for him right now.
Absolutely. That's definitely going to come up later. Love Nami defending the ship with the guns and the swords. That's so cute. Like,
yeah,
I love when Nami is a team player. It's very fun.
The walk to Frankie house.
God. Yeah, dude,
Ooh.
the walk to the Frankie house. So pretty soon after Usopp gets destroyed in there, you know, they find him, and this thing where whenever they're about to walk up to the Frankie house, Zoro's putting on his bandana, Sanji's smoking. This like immediately reminded me of back in Arlong Park when Nami finally asked for help and they're like, let's fucking go.
One Piece has echoes throughout its story, and I think that's a big plus of a long story. You can echo scenes with different contexts, and you can reminisce about the good old stuff, but also be like, the current stuff is also so good.
Dude.
The fact that Cowardly Chopper is just like, yeah, let's fuck him up immediately.
It's also in different, like you said, different context. Whereas them walking to Arlong Park was there to liberate Nami of this debt almost and this slavery. This is revenge.
Yeah, that was heroic. This is like selfish revenge, and like Oda does not shy away from that as they're fighting them.
Yeah, this is some of the biggest dick energy in existence right here. Like one of these page turns they do whenever they first go into the Frankie house is so good because
and they punch the giant.
Yeah, a lot of the page turns, like they'll have the wind up to the attack. You turn the page, you see the awesome payoff. There's not even a wind up here. You don't see anyone preparing an attack. You turn the page and Luffy just one hit KO'd this giant.
There's not a wind down either. Luffy looks so casual.
Yeah, it's so cool. And then, you know, they introduce this guy. He's covered in the iron armor. No, like, I don't know. He's covered in this iron armor. It's like, oh, it can even withstand blows from battleships. I was like, oh, okay, I guess this chapter is going to be fighting this guy. He's like the strongest of the Frankie dudes.
Pearl again.
Luffy just one hit KOs him too.
With Gum Cannon. New move.
And I don't know, it's all of these members of Straw Hats just fucking them up. One moment I thought was so cool. They shoot these cannonballs. Okay, you know, Luffy, Zoro, Sanji, and Chopper all get their cool moments. I really liked Zoro's. They shoot these iron cannonballs at Zoro, and he cuts them all clean in half. And it puts me in mind to his fight against Mr. One back in Alabasta. This is a cool way to show growth, because the fight against Mr. One, wasn't it all about him like having to grow as a character so he could cut the metal?
Yeah.
And I just thought it was really cool how easily he's doing that
here. The cool part of it is that they split up and explode behind the Straw Hats, and it looks like they're not even flinching as they're walking.
Yeah,
so
they
it's
didn't.
just a really cool visual. This volume's insane, man. We're not even at the good stuff.
Badass. And like you said, even the fact that Chopper is in here fucking people up is so cool.
Look at how angry Chopper and Luffy look. Like, you never see them like this.
Yeah, and like you guys said, this isn't a heroic, altruistic thing. This is revenge. They say, get ready to have every bone in your bodies broken. They're
They kind of like indicate of like, oh, this is coming in to get our money. This is I don't care.
This is Luffy acting much more like I would expect a Grand Line pirate to act.
Once again, I want you to remember those words Iceberg said to him. He's acting very different right now.
Because,
it's so
like, I see this, and I think this is much more like what I expect a pirate captain to act like. And then you realize, is that such a good thing? Luffy has been redefining how people see pirates. This Iceberg has challenged Luffy's position as captain and how he approaches that role.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, go ahead.
You know, maybe it got to Luffy really hard, and he's going to try to redefine what it is to be a pirate captain here.
I think this is a really important moment, an important arc for Luffy, because this is the first time that we've had character development, but character progression, I guess, for Luffy.
Yeah. As much as like we've had small developments, right? But we've had arcs where like say this arc is really big for Usopp, and Alabasta was really big for Nami, for Vivi and Nami and Zoro. Like I feel like they all had a lot of big moments. But this one is already huge for Luffy.
This is fascinating. I always call I don't remember what arc we first said it. We call Luffy the emotional mastermind.
It breaks apart right here, though. It's so good.
In virtually every arc, as goofy as Luffy is, whenever it comes to the serious things, I never really question that he's making the right call, because usually in the story he is making the right call. And here, for the first time, I'm not so sure that I agree with what he's doing. And that's so fascinating to me.
These 4 panels of Luffy, Sanji, Zoro, and Usopp taking them out without words. And then you go to the house, and then you have those page breaks to show that time is passing. But then the reveal that they completely destroy the house. I thought that was such a powerful page turn moment. It's like, look how hard they rampaged here. It's nuts.
And those page breaks are a really good way to show passage of time.
Yeah, Oda does it a lot too.
It's cool. Man, Luffy has this panel where he says, "I've decided we'll say farewell to the merry go," and this really hit me hard because I don't know what's going to happen to the merry go. I'm still very early in Water 7, obviously.
It's a long arc.
My heart says they can't get rid of the merry-go. Like, something is going to happen. I feel like if we want to tie this in to the Davy back fight, the Davy back fight shows the ridiculous lengths that the Straw Hats and especially Luffy will go to save a crew member. He will fight to the death, and we've been talking about how the merry-go is not just a ship; it is a member of the crew.
Yes.
I think a lot of this is going to be not just fighting for Usopp, but fighting for the merry-go. And if you view Usopp and the merry-go as synonymous with each other, I mean, if you want Usopp, you got to have the merry-go. If you want the merry-go, you got to have Usopp. And I think we're going to come out of Water 7 with the merry-go. I really hope.
and it's like, it's cool, right? Because a lot of people see Davy back fight as filler. And as fun as it is, that Luffy versus Foxy fight has a lot of beats of I will not give up for my crew. Suddenly, we're put in a position where Luffy's about to lose 2 crew members and Robin has allegedly assassinated someone.
Oh, yeah.
What the fuck is... Like, it is such an important arc to have before this. It is a tone setter because it's putting you in a lighter mood, but it's also implementing that into your head.
And so, going back to my crew prediction for now, I'm sure this is going to be a lot of fun because I'm probably super wrong. Initially, I wanted Kaku to join the crew. I realized, I mean, the joke is that he looks so much like Usopp that it's like, why don't we just have Usopp? I really I'm kind of torn. I really think that maybe we won't necessarily get a brand new crew member
Right.
in Water 7. It might be the case that we redefine, or maybe not even redefine, we accept Usopp's role in the crew. Um,
Like in Fishman Island, no one, or sorry, in Arlong Park, no one joined, but Nami officially joined.
Yeah.
yeah.
You know,
So
so as much as I'm gonna ask you every arc because it's part of the fun, I will say not every arc has someone joins. So I will ask you every time, but know
Yeah.
that there could be times where you're wrong.
I think it's going to be a really fun thing to do over time. Is I imagine every time we record, I'll probably update my predictions.
Indeed.
My official prediction right now is it'll be a similar situation to Arlong Park. We won't necessarily have a new person join, but this will be a coming of age, so to speak, for Usopp. We're going to redefine his role.
That reminds me of another game. I say game, but I guess it's more of like you and me, Willer. But it's like, there's another like trope of One Piece that happens every saga or arc. It's very frequent, and that's flashbacks.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like, what do you? What's our in depth that we're going to get about someone or something each saga in terms of flashbacks? Because I think that what's like that's another one that they kind of keep. That I always kind of keep in mind what we want to see and do.
But then you have stuff like if flashbacks are indicative. I felt like that flashback in Skypiea was to build up Wiper, at least in like a transcendental way, where like an ancestral way.
Yeah. Also, it's to build up the idea of of the importance of the bell and so. But like the point I'm getting at is like in terms of also crew, but also kind of think like, what do you think we're going to get more insight on in a flashback?
Yeah, it would be fun to see Bradley guess that as well, but we can do that at the end of our discussions.
I think I'll call it. This is the best volume so far. Like, I wasn't sure before we went into this. I was like, I think I like Arlong Park better, but as we've been talking about it and you guys bring up extra points and I get to hear my thoughts out loud, I'm sitting here, this is the best one so far.
Bradley, we haven't even gotten to the chapter.
Yeah, we're like, the volume hasn't even started yet. Like,
oh my god.
It's kind of insane.
It's kind of ridiculous.
The volume manga is kind of good.
331.
331. The most important argument at the start of this chapter. The world government guys go to try to talk to Iceberg, and his Iceberg's assistant is asking him like, what the fuck is their deal? Iceberg says he wants something I have, and he comes to me with all kinds of conditions. She asks if it's something valuable, and he says, well, I tell him I know nothing about such a thing, and chase him away. And as he's saying this, as he says, I tell him I know nothing about such a thing, we see this wanted poster for Nico Robin, which, I mean, there's probably a lot of people out there with wanted posters. This is a very specific poster to have in your office.
Indeed. Also,
immediately behind your desk.
I think we've known this since her bounty was revealed, that she's had a bounty since a child.
Yeah.
But look at it in all its actuality. It is a 8-year-old child on a bounty poster.
Yeah. So obviously I don't know where this is going yet.
She has.
And I was just like, man, that's a very specific poster to have in your office right behind your desk.
And her bounty is more than Luffy's was when he met Nico Robin.
Yeah.
Like,
so
50,000 more.
That's a really cool start to the chapter. And then we turn, and then immediately the chapter's still fucking fire. He comes back to the crew, and he gets the reception that, I would expect. Everyone still loves him. Luffy's trying to make him feel better. He's like, when Frankie comes back, we'll beat him up, we'll get the money back, no worries. And Sanji's Sanji's not that worried about the money. He's like, how could you be so rash? At least you're still alive. Of course, Nami's like, oh, it's our fucking money. But the Straw Hats still love him because, of course, they do. He's their friend.
But...
Yeah.
But Usopp is taking it really hard.
Before we get into this, I've talked about Iceberg and his words, right?
Yeah.
I want to talk about Usopp now.
Yes.
Or how Usopp has impacted Luffy just like Iceberg's words. Usopp getting the shit beat out of him and Luffy seeing his crewmate like that is the second catalyst to what's about to happen.
Man.
When Iceberg says, "Oh, you call yourself a captain," invoking this feeling of, "Oh, you're not protecting your crew," and then Luffy sees his crewmate on the floor bleeding and dying, and now he has to make this really tough decision of abandoning a crewmate, the Mary, or keeping going with the Mary, which will crash them into an ocean somewhere allegedly and kill them all.
And Usopp isn't bleeding and dying because he did something dumb, like he didn't go off and gamble away his life savings or whatever. Usopp is bleeding and dying because he is trying to make up for the fact that he messed up because of the crew and for his captain. Like he's trying to take responsibility for something that the captain needs to take responsibility for.
And because the opponents are getting stronger as well, that's also another aspect. Aokiji proved that, oh my god, we have so far to go.
Oh yeah.
All of these things together makes it so Luffy is making this decision right now. It is what we're about to get into. I could, if you gave me enough time, every single dialogue box here I could break down and have some insight for, because I think the dialogue here is excellent. Starting with the way Luffy breaks the news to Usopp.
Oh yes.
Well, Usopp, I've decided to switch the ships. We allot to the merry-go, but this is as far as she'll sail.
He tries to break it with a smile on his face.
And he's like, well, we have a lot of money. Think of all the cool things we can get. Remember how we've talked about Luffy being the godlike emotional mastermind?
Oh yeah.
This was a misstep. This was not Luffy being the emotional mastermind. He's so shook up, and this is not something we'll ever get internalized because we don't get to see his thoughts. But this is a big miscalculation. It's like, if I break it to him with a smile, it'll be easier. It'll be okay. But it just makes things worse.
The thing is, too, is that Luffy's not being honest about his emotional state to Usopp.
Yeah.
He's literally lying about how he feels about what's happening. And like that's kind of the big thing that Usopp sees right through him.
Like it's crazy.
When has Luffy ever held his tongue about his feelings? He got in a fight with Vivi in the desert because he didn't think her bloodless revolt was a reasonable ideal. Yeah. And here he is lying to Usopp and himself. It is staggeringly different from the Luffy we've seen before.
And like you said, him holding back here makes it so much worse, because it's like he thinks being all chipper about it is going to make Usopp take the news better, when in reality, later on, Usopp says, oh, you weren't broken up about it at all. You don't give a shit about the merry-go.
Right. Like, this miscommunication, it's fascinating because, man, Luffy, for once, does not, like, speak his mind like always, and it backfires. And look how fast, from the right page of this page where Luffy's breaking the news to the left page, they're already yelling at each other. It's, oh, man.
And this was amazing to me as I was watching this argument unfold, because obviously you have shit like, oh, you know, Zoro and Sanji talk shit to each other. This is the first actual, real, heated argument the Straw Hats have had with each other. Like, it was heartbreaking to watch. And
what else
I know
you got, Bradley?
we talk about every single fucking dialogue bubble. I think a really fascinating thing is later on, Usopp says, you know, I misjudged you, and he's I don't know, he's just like, this isn't the Luffy I know. Yeah. You wouldn't abandon something like this.
When we get to this point here, or sorry, you were saying?
Yeah, I think this is kind of showing how Luffy's changing, because Usopp's right. This is not what I would expect Luffy to do. I would expect Luffy to be stubborn and say, no, we're going to save the merry-go.
And Luffy, so Usopp has this argument where it's like, oh, you're just going to trust some carpenters? Forget it. Like, I'll fix it myself. We're not going to pay anyone. I'm going to need y'all's help, so let's get right down to it. And Luffy has to snap him out with, you're not the ship's carpenter, Usopp. And this is where Nami starts, like, Nami, Sanji, and Zoro start to really start worrying about the situation.
Yeah.
And it gets so ugly at this point.
Yeah.
So this kind of got foreshadowed about very subtly. It's just a small thing I wanted to bring up. At the very near the end of the Skypiea arc, there's a small moment where all of where Robin has caught up with the crew, and as we know, Robin's been introducing people by essentially their titles.
Yeah.
Usopp was the only one that didn't have a title.
Oh man.
Sanji Mr. Cook. She calls Dr. Chopper. I mean Chopper Doctor. She calls
Swordsman.
So
God.
yeah.
But Usopp's long nose.
Exactly. That's his only character trait to her.
He has nothing.
Oh my god, Joe! How long have you hid this from us?
Joe,
About,
thank
like,
you.
3 weeks now.
You
Joe, that's so
motherfucker! Oh, that's fantastic.
But
I'm kind of fucking mad at Oda. Like, I'll never be this smart.
And then, okay, so we have the I misjudged you, Luffy. Nami steps in, and Luffy yells, "Be quiet, Nami."
God damn.
I'm like, what the fuck? I've made my decision. Nothing you say will change my mind. We're gonna change ships. We will part with the merry-go here. And then it really comes out. They start fighting on the ground.
Yeah.
And the most important words here come out. All right, then, if you don't like my way of doing things, you could just take this opportunity to...
And Sanji shuts that shit down.
Yeah.
So, everyone's roles in the Straw Hats are so beautifully demonstrated in this chapter.
Mm-hmm.
I talked...
crew roles, but like emotional friend roles too.
Yes, it's especially that. I've talked about all the dialogue that's being said. One thing I haven't talked about is all the dialogue that hasn't been said. Zoro is fucking fire in this chapter, and he doesn't say a goddamn word during this fight.
Mm-hmm.
And that speaks volumes, because the one time where he does say a word after the fight, we'll point it out then, it is very impactful. Furthermore, Sanji stopping Luffy before he can say something he'll regret shows Sanji as much of like the womanizer, like aloof, like whatever, you're like too cool for school sometimes.
Still a man.
He cares so deeply about the bond of this crew that he just smacked Luffy in the face before he could say something.
And this was just such a cool thing. One thing we touched on during our Dr. Stone talk earlier is, you know, you get the idea that, oh, is this entire story just always going to be happy-go-lucky, everyone's always friends, get along all the time, the main characters... No, this shows that there is development to be done. Things aren't always going to be perfect. And I just really appreciated this fight, as heartbreaking as it was.
All right, on to the last 2 pages of this chapter. Still got more to say. Mm-hmm. Usopp says, just get rid of useless shipmates after one after the other. If you're going to abandon the ship, why not me too? Frankly, I can't keep up with monstrous powers you guys possess. At the end of the day, and this is the best part, this is what brings this up to sublime level. This is not an argument about Luffy leaving the Merry. Because allegedly, as the shipwrights put it, the Merry's doomed. Deep down inside, the fear that Usopp has always had, that's been manifested through the Merry, is that one day the crew will outgrow him and not need him anymore.
Because it's like they've finally gotten far enough on their adventure that the Merry has become useless to them, and he's like, so one day I'm going to be useless too. Maybe I'm already useless.
And Aokiji and Frankie were those wake-up calls for him.
And whenever Luffy was talking about crew members, Usopp's role was never kind of stated as something that was needed. They brought Usopp because they liked Usopp, basically.
Yeah, you're right. All these other people, were like, oh, we need a navigator.
We need a navigator. We need a swordsman. We need a cook. We need a doctor.
A doctor would be so useful, but he flashes back, and he's just like, oh, we're on a team. Get on our boat.
Yeah, it's even in this page where Zoro's just like, get on board, and then it's just like they like Usopp. They just wanted him along because they liked him. Like, we're friends.
And Usopp just feels very human and tragic here, that you realize this is the worry that he's had all along, and
it's being reflected through this peril that the Merry is going through. Oh man. Well,
the keel is breaking,
and the fight the fight challenge is made.
Yeah, and the next chapter is titled Luffy versus Usopp, and I was like, God damn, what a title.
Not Pirate Captain Luffy, not whatever, not Warlord of the Seas Crocodile, not Sniper Usopp. Luffy versus
Usopp.
Oh my, yeah, that's such a good point. It's always titled Captain Luffy, Pirate Luffy versus God Eneru.
Or it's essentially like, or the opponent is someone that has some sort of title or thing to them.
This is deeper than that. This is the essence of these two characters fighting each other, not their status. I wonder if we went back and read in Arlong Park. There's a point where Luffy is talking about how he's worthless without his crewmates. He specifically brings up, I can't use a sword, I can't cook, I can't navigate. Did he bring something up for Usopp back then?
I don't know.
I'll bring it up. Find it. I'll look.
All right, let's go into 332 then.
Yeah, we see that, you know, the fight's going to be on. They're getting ready for it. It's going to be at 10 o'clock that night. And I think it's so cool. They're basically going to duke it out for the fate of the merry-go. And I think it's so cool that we've always had this running gag where Usopp is, I'm the real captain of the tribe. I'm the captain of the merry-go. And it is always a fun gag. And it's cool that we can pay off on it and make it actually relevant to their characters in this arc.
Hey, when's the last time you've seen Luffy hanging out alone in the sleeping quarters of the Merry?
Fucking never. He's usually asleep on the merry-go's head.
He's fucking never. He is out of his depth right now. He does not know how to handle his emotions right now. And there's not a single thought bubble there, but through his actions and words you can tell. Oh,
dude, I'm on fucking Team Usopp. I'm on Team Usopp, man.
I also love how Zoro and Sanji are bickering with each other over small things, because I feel like that's their coping mechanism. Like, that's how they express their normality with each other.
And I also love on, you know, the very next page, the one who seems to be the most torn up is Chopper, because Usopp and Chopper, they've always kind of been special buddies.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like Usopp's gotten the most Chopper moments out of everyone.
Chopper's first fight with the crew is a team-up fight with Usopp.
Yeah, and there's just always all those in-between moments where they're just having fun, telling stories, joking around, and it's really tearing Chopper apart.
And then all the great times we've had seems like a big lie now. And on top of all this...
I figured out what he says for Usopp.
What's up?
He says that he can't lie.
Okay.
Oh
my god.
But that's kind of what Usopp does. He's the trickster.
Yeah.
Like, whether he realizes it or not, he's your debuff, as you can see at the start of this fight.
You're right, Luffy. You can't lie, and we're seeing it right now because you're not doing good at it. So we had this dialogue here. All the great times we've had together, and it seemed like a big lie now. And on top of all this, if something happened to Robin, I feel like our crew is falling apart. And here we have Water 7, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, it's what we talked about earlier, where if you lose a member of this crew, is it still the same crew?
Theseus crew.
Theseus.
Theseus, my boy Theseus.
That was terrible.
On to the action.
Like, the energy surrounding the lead up to the fight is so tense, and the hopeful part of me was, you know, this is One Piece. They're gonna start fighting, but, you know, they're gonna kind of pull punches, and then they're gonna realize this is ridiculous. No, they're trying to fucking end each other here.
Remember,
not like maybe actual murder. They're not gonna try to like murder each other, but they are trying to fucking take each other down.
It is a man's fight.
Yeah.
Remember how I brought up that Luffy is tricky, but against really tricky opponents like Foxy, he got his shit kicked in the most ever, baby.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I think that is a good like little hint to his weakness here that Usopp is going to exploit and actually get a leg up on this fight.
I gotta say, Usopp is so cool here. All of these, he in a very, I was about to say subtle way, but not even subtle. Over all these arcs, he's been adding to his toolkit. We see all of these moves that he invented at crucial times in Arlong Park and Alabasta. He has the dials from Skypiea.
Catch up the blood, the fake blood he used in Arlong Park.
This into his kit. So whenever he does these things, it doesn't feel like it's coming out of nowhere. We've seen him use pretty much all this before.
Yeah, and then he's pulling out some cool new ones like the shurikens. Like, it's really cool.
Yeah. So what's great about this too is kind of the whole irony of Usopp's perspective. Usopp thinks that he can't keep up, but he's doing pretty, like, he's not gonna beat Luffy. Like, we know that.
Yeah.
But he's doing really well against Luffy, all things considered.
It really is.
And there's a pretty big power gap between a lot of pirates and Luffy. And Usopp honestly just walked into a terrible situation and he got ambushed. That's all that happens. Usopp can do things, but he just doesn't see what he can do. It's not as like a big punch as Luffy does, but he has the ability to fight.
Yeah,
He kind of adds on to that irony of
God.
him feeling useless because he's not. Because he can do this stuff that is incapacitating Luffy. Because imagine if it was Luffy versus Usopp and Sanji or Zoro.
Yeah.
Like, Luffy be done. Because he's been knocked down like 3 or 4 times at this point.
And Usopp really is doing cool stuff here. He does his big fire explosion, and that looks like the kind of attack that usually takes down an enemy.
Look
Not
at
like
how massive this explosion is. It's nuts.
I was
explosion.
I was so proud of Usopp at that point. I was like, this is a fucking Grand Line ass attack right here.
The look on Luffy's face, like, God, there's so much there, and you just can't fully understand it all. It's great.
This gets so fucking heartbreaking. As the fight goes on, you get these flashbacks interspersed of happier times between them.
The Mary crying, though, oh my God.
Oh, I didn't even see that, dude, with the rain seeing it
You
cry.
didn't see the Mary's crying? It's so good.
Go
The
man,
next chapter's
speed
called
ahead.
Captain, by the way.
What's up?
The next chapter's called Captain.
Oh,
This is... Oda's the real emotional mastermind. I'm sorry.
we were fooled all along as part of his emotional mastermindness.
You know, of course the Fire Star attack did not take out Luffy, but man, Luffy really is not pulling his punches here.
He's doing real moves.
Yeah, this is the Gum Gum Gatling that will fuck up people. Of course, Usopp is able to kind of counter it with his cactus stuff, but what really got me here, this finally dispelled all thoughts that maybe they were pulling punches. Luffy straight up hits Usopp in the face with a Gum Gum pistol.
Well,
And, oh, this is going to be over. That one hit's going to take Usopp out. No, he absorbs the fucking Gum Gum bazooka with an impact dial, which was awesome.
let's talk about that real quick. First of all, this shot of Usopp shooting the 3 explosions and Luffy rolling, really good motion.
Yeah.
And then also as the crew watches it, the size of the explosions lets you see the orientation that they exploded and they're growing. Really cool. But what's cool here is that Gum Gum Pistol is Luffy's weakest move. And Usopp fucking eats it from it. So this also dispels any notion that, like, Usopp has the physical prowess to take Luffy's moves, really. But what's cool is that Luffy follows up Pistol with Bazooka, which is not a weak move. How many opponents has Luffy finished with Bazooka? Krieg, Wapple, Boogie. It was significant against Eneru.
Just a few chapters ago, the Frankie fan was like, "Oh, this can withstand the artillery from a battleship," and Luffy bazookas right through the armor.
He uses cannon. That's a different move.
Oh, cannon, never mind.
Cannon, he builds up a lot of momentum with punches and then does a bazooka. You see.
Oh.
Anyways, the impact dial scene looks incredible.
Yeah, and it's really cool because he just keeps using this kit that he's built up. Somehow I didn't even consider he might use the impact dial, and then he pulled it out.
I think there's this moment here, though, after the impact, where Luffy's standing there, and it's just an empty panel of him standing there.
Yeah.
I think that is the scariest part of fighting Luffy. And whenever you think, and this really shows later in the series, when enemies are fighting Luffy, the fact that he won't stay down is probably, and he's like, and in the times where he doesn't stay down and he smiles, that's terrifying, right?
Oh yeah.
But the fact that, like, just the point is you can't keep him down, and I think that is so heartbreaking, and you can see that in Usopp's face.
It even unnerved someone like Crocodile, who was like, Jesus fuck, like,
just die. I've killed you twice now.
Yeah, so you can imagine Usopp is, oh Jesus, this isn't working. But I think even Usopp knew he wouldn't be able to fully beat Luffy.
Yeah.
But he came here with a chip on his shoulder. He really had something to prove.
Yeah.
And he takes a fucking gum bullet to the gut.
The fact that like he can't defend it either, like he just has to watch it happen.
Yeah, and you know that Gum Gum Bullet kind of ends the fight. Luffy really was going all out, and it's really interesting. Luffy did go all out because Usopp had challenged him to this fair fight, and we see that even Luffy, to a degree, didn't want to have to do this to Usopp.
Mm-hmm.
He says, "You knew there's no way you could have defeated me. Why did you make me do this fight?" Of course, Luffy is going to do the fight. It's kind of like the Davy Back fight. He can't just not do it.
Like, the old man couldn't stand up for himself because he's an old man and he has to tend to his horse.
Yeah.
And Luffy knew that, like, that's the most important part of being a pirate, is maintaining your honor as a pirate to him and maintaining how you view yourself as a pirate. And he knows that if he didn't fight Usopp, he would just kind of be proving Usopp's point of have him thinking that everyone else thinks he's useless.
Exactly.
And I love these flashbacks we get right after the fight. Just a series of good times.
Mm-hmm.
So long, Usopp. It's been fun.
This is the most heartbreaking shit. And like I said, I don't know how the Straw Hat roster evolves over time. I mean, I don't believe for a second that Usopp would actually be off the crew, but there's that scary thought in the back of my mind. You know, what if he is? And
even if he's not, this is a blemish that exists. Like, this happened.
yeah, it's like you said earlier, even if you fix something, it might not ever be truly the same. And even if they get Usopp back, he's going to be different. It could be for the better. It could be for the worse.
But it will be different, right?
It will be different.
And
Like-
I love Sanji, like Chopper wanting to help him, Sanji stopping him.
Yeah, because it's like we said earlier, where I was like, I want to give Usopp a hug, but that is super not what he needs right now.
And I think that Sanji has shown his emotional part of the crew so much in these chapters, where Sanji's the manliest here and level. He's like a good intersection of manly, emotional, and level-headed.
Yeah. This is
While Zoro like really tries to hide his emotional side, and he tries to go full manly.
Yeah.
Right? So I feel like Sanji's a really good complement to that.
Yeah.
this is the part where I was just like, man, I really like Sanji and who
Hell
he
yeah.
is. This is like the point where like he started climbing the ranks of my like crew list of like, oh, I like, because it's at this point where you realize Sanji has a little bit more, not as much of an emotional resonance as Luffy does usually, but like he understands what goes through people's minds and how they feel about things. Like he gets it.
But
And-
okay.
It's cool. Oda has really good timing on these things, where right around the time it's been long enough that I feel like a character is starting to fade into the background, he brings them back into relevance like that.
Yeah.
I
He's good
remember
at rotating them.
when Skypiea started, I was like, man, we haven't really done a lot of Chopper stuff since Drum Island, and there was a ton of Chopper in Skypiea.
Yeah.
So
On to some very important dialogue here at the end. It's after Sanji stops Chopper from going. Luffy says, "This is too much." And Zoro, the first time he speaks to Luffy since this whole debacle has started, that's the burden of being a captain. Look at how these text bubbles are bolded, by the way. When have you seen that in One Piece? These are heavy words, so much that the bubbles reflected.
and like I can't remember a time I've seen this technique in a manga before, where bolded bubbles. That's really cool.
Don't doubt yourself. If you start becoming unsure, who can we have faith in? This is it for us. We can never return to this ship. Luffy breaks down here. This is the first time we've seen Luffy ugly crying. And this is what it's all about. Ever since Iceberg challenged what it is to be a captain, Luffy has realized just how difficult being a captain is when the chips get tough and that stuff gets emotional. And it's really all coming out right now.
Y'all, this is amazing, because before I had ever experienced any One Piece, I feel like I had the same image of it that the 4Kids executives must have had when they decided to start doing One Piece. Like, oh, you know, it's fun, it's funny kid pirate adventure. and then obviously they had to censor a ton and eventually stopped because it's getting into some real shit. So, you know, before I started One Piece, I never knew that it was some real fucking shit like this.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so glad.
Four kids.
We made it.
I can't imagine if 4 kids
I've been waiting.
tried to do all of One Piece.
I just Bradley got here, man. Isn't this a wonderful day?
God, this is the moment I've been waiting for. We finally got Water 7, and we're just getting started.
But yeah, Luffy crying, man. Terrifying.
Usopp, I won't talk as much after this. I've talked a lot about that one chapter, so I need to ease up.
This is the climax of this volume.
Usopp, just alone on the ship with no one else. All these empty rooms. God damn.
Yeah, you see all these rooms that had been outlined before. I remember seeing how cool it was in between chapters when Oda would talk about this room and this room. It's like, oh, these characters will do this here together, and oh, you know, Zoro likes doing this in this room and stuff like that. And you see that all these rooms that were so personalized to the Straw Hats are now they're
cleaned out.
Yeah, they're cleaned out, and
they're functionless now. All of those nice things Oda brought up, without the crew there and with a dying Mary, they're functionless. That's so sad,
man. And so we go on from this chapter and we waste no time. The shit going down. First of all, the Straw Hats, none of them could sleep. They're all walking around on the roof. Luffy is really contemplative on the roof over there. And we find out that Mr. Iceberg was shot in his home, and we get some really fun murder mystery stuff where all the doors were closed, the locks weren't broken in. He was shot this many times in the back and the front. There was a mask.
Ooh.
Blah 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 blah.
Remember all these points.
Yeah, it was really, really interesting. And we see how loved Iceberg is, and I think it's a really cool contrast to Skypiea. How these people, that, you know, they might have revered the Kami, but it was out of fear. These people genuinely love they love Iceberg, dude. And
I mean, by this point, I already love him. Like, we got like maybe 5 chapters with him, and I'm like, this guy's great.
Not even like 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Actual like chapters were interacting with him. Like,
yeah.
You mean, like, oh, this guy, like, he understands what it means to like run a business in a town, like what his responsibility is.
He's flexible and responsible at the same time. And
right.
I love that.
Like a stiff board. Like, he's goofy.
He's
like,
not an iceberg.
Yeah, ironically.
Yeah.
And around the time that's happening, Frankie comes home. And he looks fucking weird.
Yeah.
He looks weird right now. But he finds out that their Frankie home has been destroyed. He's very not happy about it. He's gonna do something about it.
So we talked about how Arlong reacted to his fishmen, and now we have the antagonist thus far. Kiwi, Mozu, am I dreaming this? No, bro. This is definitely where the Frankie house once stood. You can tell that, like, as much of a cruel guy as he is, and we saw a little bit of this as he was partying with his boys, he is not going to let this go lightly. He cared a lot for his house and his family there.
Yeah.
You can already tell.
Kind of reminds me of another leader of a group.
Indeed. Lots of families getting destroyed around these parts.
The Sky Boss who made the Forest Boss his henchman.
Right, so we're just in this chain of henchmen making.
Yeah, I haven't been talking a lot about Gadatsu's story.
It's a trip.
I don't care a ton about it. I don't know.
Bradley, what if I told you this is the most important cover story?
I'm sure it's super important.
Joe would be lying.
It's the least invested I've been in a cover story, but I'm sure it's great.
Sometimes Oda just wants to have fun.
Yeah.
Aqua Laguna's coming, yo.
Yeah, and this is interesting because as of where I am now, we haven't Aqua Laguna, the high tide has not hit. I could see it being a really cool device for forcing all the characters we want to be in the same area into the same area.
Yeah.
because everyone's going to have to evacuate the lower areas and go up to the high areas, and I'm sure there's a lot of characters in different places that we're going to force into one area.
Let's take a moment and talk about foreshadowing.
Yes.
We just explored all of Usopp and like how much build up there was to that and foreshadowing to this moment of the story. You would think that'd be a huge moment for our characters and impact. And the thing is, those moments are usually represented by a storm, and that there's a calm before it. So the storm is now showing up.
Yeah.
This is the idea of like Oda here is now signaling that Usopp, what's happening to Usopp and what's happening to the crew is literally just the calm before the storm.
It's just the beginning of a much more turbulent night that's about to occur, kind of thing.
Y'all, if it gets more emotional than it's already been, I'm gonna not be okay in real life.
I am 95% sure that you're going to bawl your eyes out at certain parts.
Like this, I was really getting choked up in the.
Oh, Bradley.
Grown men have been brought to their knees at the power of Water 7.
I'm on my knees for Oda.
Ugh.
In a crying way, not the other way.
It's often been said that if everyone in the world read the Water 7 saga, we'd probably have world peace.
It's often said.
The One Piece is volume 35.
Oh, you poor fool.
So, fucking... I don't know. We hear about the Aqua Laguna, whatever.
Frankie.
This guy Frankie calls out Luffy, and he takes off his dumbass hat, and now he looks fucking cool.
Super.
And so this is really interesting. I know I've seen pictures of this character before, but I didn't know what his deal was. I didn't know if he was a good guy, bad guy, etc. I still don't know what his deal is. I for certain did not know he was a fucking cyborg. Whenever he shot his arm off, I was like, what the fuck just happened?
I don't think even Oda realized he was a cyborg until he drew that. It's like, oh.
Yeah, he drew that. He's like, wait a minute. Yeah, he's a cyborg.
So you're confusing him with Ace Ventura, but also like this is such a flamboyant design. There's a lot of fan art of this guy. It's great.
Yeah, he looks really cool. Immediately, I'm like, oh, he's Popeye. He has the big ass forearms.
Yeah, and he's a pervert. He's just wearing his Speedos everywhere.
Yeah, I'd seen pictures of him, but I did not remember the whole Speedo part.
It's very important.
And he still has hair on his calves, but his thighs and crotch are very bald.
Very clean.
He got a Brazilian.
So you know how the guy who voiced Dio was born to be Dio in JoJo's?
Yes.
The guy that voices Frankie
was born to be Frankie.
Fuck
like,
yeah.
Like when you
play Pirate Warriors 3, when you finish, I guess it'd be Dressrosa, you can play Pirate Warriors 3.
Yeah, but like the guy that plays him, like as soon as I heard him, it's like literally no one else in the world could be Frankie. It's just perfect.
You know what's amazing, Joe? You know who else he voices in One Piece?
Who?
Mr. 2 Bon Clay, same voice actor. He only voices Chads.
Is he gonna be that Chad later?
No, impossible.
I'm very glad Frankie has a good voice actor because he looks like a character who deserves the perfect voice.
He goes, ow! It's great.
Oh, super!
So we get to see Frankie's lap hog, and then we go over to Iceberg, who is now awake, and they're speculating who might have killed him, and he said, you don't need to speculate. It was Nico Robin.
Bradley, I want speculations. What do you think's going on, man?
So, we got some ideas thrown around here. Idea number one, this obviously is not Mr. Iceberg. This is obviously Mr. 2, who has taken the form of Iceberg and is lying.
Ooh, big brain Bradley over here.
Part of me is like, okay, he doesn't know 100% sure it's Robin. He just saw a tall, black-haired woman wearing her clothes with her eyes. Maybe it wasn't actually her. So that's still a possibility. And the other possibility is... Fuck, man, maybe it was Robin. Because that other person that Robin is with in this panel was that person who passed by earlier and said, "I'm with CP9." Maybe Robin owes something to this person, or they have an allegiance to this person. I'm like, yeah, maybe Robin was a part of shooting Iceberg. Maybe this is someone who just looked like her.
Maybe Robin had to go blat blat.
It's interesting. This is like the Robin and Usopp and fucking Luffy and Sanji. This is just everyone's arc.
Like
Yes.
I said,
Yes.
this is also the calm before the storm.
Yeah.
This is like all of One Piece up till now builds to this, and then all of One Piece past this points to the halfway point, and we're getting big build-ups and layers and layers and layers.
Nothing will ever be the same.
Nothing.
No.
So I'd love as Frankie talks, Kiwi and Mozu pose with him. They're just JoJo characters that stumbled into
Are we
this.
going to ignore the fact that about Harry Armman and with Nico Robbins fruit in the SBS corner?
Wait, what? I didn't
In the
catch-
SBS corner, right after this chapter, someone asked what would happen if you had hairy arms with Nico Robbins.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Good question.
I just laughed at that because I just thought it was hilarious. Just the idea of this hairy man with hairy arms, like just the big hairy arms sticking out everywhere, compared to the slender arms that Robin has. But go ahead.
The next chapter gets pretty quick into the Frankie versus Luffy. He does a lot of fun poses. He has a weird fucking chin, by the way, but he's a cyborg.
Triple butt chin.
Luffy versus Frankie. They're not fighting over something. They're fighting over each other and what they've done to each other's crew and what they've caused.
That's true. This is the most. Would I say that? Would I say this is the most justified someone's been at fighting Luffy? But I mean, he started it, so.
And it's funny because Luffy wants to fight him too, and Luffy says this isn't about the money. And Frankie is like, yeah, I had the same thought.
They're both lashing out, really.
They both fucking hate each other.
Yeah.
Man, I want Frankie's shirt. I would wear that shirt.
You really would.
That is your shirt. You have that shirt. I'm
I
pretty sure.
I do have that shirt.
You have those Speedos, too. I'm pretty sure.
I do have that Speedo from Halloween last year.
Bradley, just be Frankie for Halloween this year.
You know what? Fuck it. I need to get big-ass forearms, though. I'm going to put... What's the fake muscles? Cellulite? What is it?
No, that's not.
Oh, you like?
It's not cellulite. No, that's the fucking fat stuff. I don't know.
Yes.
Someone comment what the fake muscle stuff's called. Yeah, we learned Frankie's a fucking cyborg. It's really cool. Oh man, so a little bit after the fight, we cut back to Iceberg's place. It's like, oh, Robin shot him. Oh, Robin's a part of the Straw Hat crew that's in town. These are the pirates. They're the Straw Hat gang. And they pull up the pictures of Luffy and Zoro, and I put a sticky note here, and the only word on it is fuck.
The realization of the storm that's coming.
Because you've seen how powerful these fucking carpenters are. They don't give a fuck about the world organization. They don't give a fuck about pirates. And now the Straw Hats just became public enemy number one. And like, we don't waste any time getting into it. Luffy and Frankie continue their fight. And then right in the middle of it, both Luffy and Frankie get tossed to the side, and the carpenters are here to fuck them up.
Remember how strong we've already seen that Paulie and Lucci are? And then how fast Kaku is? And they're just chilling here. Like,
And
oh my god.
That gun?
Oh shit.
And yeah, everyone buy Rurouni Kenshin.
Do not buy Rurouni Kenshin. That guy is a pedophile. So
Dude, I tried rewatching the anime recently because I used to really like it, and ever since you gave me that news that he was actually a pedophile, I was like, man, there's like a weirdly large amount of scenes with these kids, these granddaughters fawning over Kenshin.
That's a yikes. Anywho, please buy One Piece.
Yeah, buy One Piece though.
Wow, guys, we did it. We spent 2 hours and 10 minutes on these 2 volumes, but I mean, come on.
Yeah, and goddamn, what volumes there were. Also, I remember there was another One Piece thing I wanted to talk about that I wanted to do at the beginning, but I totally forgot.
Well, it's beginning now. Let's do it.
I had a thought when I was at the gym, and I ended up talking to you guys a lot about it on Discord, where I was thinking about the events of Skypiea, and I was thinking about the Poneglyph, where it was talking about how, you know, Goldie Roger, he guided the document to its end.
Right.
And I was like, okay, so we knew that happened, what, 20 years before the events of Skypiea. And then I remembered, wait, the Shandians have been guarding this Poneglyph for hundreds of years. So my first thought before I talked to you guys about it was like, oh, obviously Gold Roger time travels at some point and guided the Poneglyph to them 400 years ago, which I haven't totally ruled out. He also brought up the possibility that doesn't mean he literally physically moved the Poneglyph.
Right.
I think another possibility, guiding the document to its end, could mean something like, we know the Poneglyphs. I don't know for a fact what they say, but we know they're chronicling some kind of history of the world, some thread of events that happened at some point in the past, and maybe Willer's coming to himself.
No, I'm off screen. Don't listen.
I saw him just start dancing.
You saw nothing.
We know the Poneglyphs chronicle some thread of events through the One Piece world history, and perhaps what Gold Roger meant by saying I guide these documents to their end is that maybe he finally resolved whatever thread of events is talked about by the Poneglyphs. I don't know.
My interpretation when I first read it of whatever was written on there, he resolved what was written on there.
Yeah, and like since the Poneglyphs are there for posterity's sake to let people know what happened in the past, maybe he just wanted to make his mark and say, "Hey, this stuff you might have read on the Poneglyphs, like it's good. Like I did it."
Half vandalism, half message.
So. I'm sure everyone out there is stroking themselves to this theory
that it's written in the same language.
Yeah, that's really fascinating.
But yeah,
man,
it could also be that Gold Roger was not the one who put his name on there,
or Gold Roger is in fact that Poneglyph.
Dun dun dun.
Dude, Gold Roger. Yeah, that was the Poneglyph trying to talk. I'm Gold Roger. I'm trapped in here. Let me out.
Yo, Angelo, Gwen. Fucking Josuke strikes again, motherfucker.
But yeah, that was One Piece theory crafting corner. Also, other theory. We're not gonna get a new member in Water 7. Usopp's just gonna be big boy member.
That's the theory.
Flashback predictions.
What?
Flashback predictions.
What is that?
Do you have anything you think we'll get a flashback on?
Yeah.
If we get it, I think we're for sure gonna get a flashback for Robin.
Okay.
I say for sure, like I know what's gonna happen. I of the Straw Hats, I think she's the strongest contender for a flashback arc. Maybe we'll get one from Usopp, but if we do, I bet it'll be back to like stuff we might have already seen.
Okay.
As far as new characters that get a flashback, I could maybe see Iceberg getting a little something, but I think Robin's our strongest contender for getting a full Black Page volume.
Wow. These are decent guesses, I guess. I had a follow-up question.
Yes.
Or a follow-up from something I brought up earlier. Give us your current top 5 One Piece characters.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. And this is fun because I haven't done this ahead of time.
We should do this at the end of every saga.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or the Skypiea saga, but we should do it at the end just to see like how they change.
Maybe 6 or 7, whatever you feel.
Luffy is for sure my favorite, which is really surprising for me. Yeah. Like if the me who had never read One Piece heard the me now say that, they'd probably be surprised because I'm like, I thought Luffy was such like a cardboard cutout shonen character, which he kind of is, but he's the best version of that.
Yeah, it's so complicated because like he is and he isn't. Like there's so much more going on inside that we don't even get to see. Like it's very interesting.
I don't know. He feels like a really. It's interesting because he is the like personification of all those old-fashioned classic shonen traits, but it's like the reason he is that type of person is because of the more complicated stuff going on inside of him.
I feel like Oda crafted a world in which he could have Luffy bash against this world and make cool impacts, and that's like how he built his adventure.
So Luffy is definitely my favorite. Um, used to Usopp wouldn't have been in the top 10. He's making a case for being. I don't know if he's number 2 yet, but he could get there. Um, I really like Nami. I still have some leftover. She's fucking cool from Arlong Park.
That's forever.
She's also really hot.
She has so many subtle moments I love.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
She does a great balance of being the female girl that is bitchy and is like and gets what she wants and like kind of is really kind of the person that beats the crew into submission when it comes to like what you need to do, but at the same time being playful and having a good time. She does a great balancing act doing those things.
Yeah, she's great.
Portgas D Ace. That motherfucker's awesome.
Number 4.
I'm surprised Ace isn't number 1 for you.
Yeah.
But
he's fucking cool. I'm also tempted to say Mihawk, which is on one level it feels like a disservice because he hasn't had all these cool character story moments that these other people have had.
One Piece is such a series of actions. Like, as good as the dialogue and the storytelling is, like, sometimes what a character does sticks with you for so long.
Yeah.
To where I feel like that some people really just like how long were you with Ace and he made such an impact on you? You know, like some characters just have like these moments where they stick with you for a long time in One Piece, and I feel like that's
the first chapter I saw Ace, I was like, that motherfucker's awesome. So even though obviously he hasn't gotten to have all the cool character moments and developments over time, Mihawk is a character that I don't know. From the first panel I saw him, I was like, yeah, he's my favorite. I fucking love him. So I'll put him at 4 for now. I'm sure he'll flop around.
That'll be 5. Yeah, Mihawk will be your 5th there.
Number 5, I want to pull someone who's not a Straw Hat.
Well, you've done 5, but then we'll do 6 then.
Was that 5?
Yeah. You said Luffy, Usopp, Nami.
No,
Ace,
Nami's number 2. I'll put Usopp at 5 for now.
Okay, there you go.
I'll put Usopp at 5 for now.
So wait, 3. Who's
Luffy, Nami, Ace, Mihawk, Usopp.
Yeah.
Okay.
For me, around this time, I remember Chopper being my favorite character.
Damn.
I remember really liking Luffy. I remember Crocodile. Actually, Crocodile was probably my second favorite at this point.
He's pretty badass.
Luffy. I was not yet at the point where I was enlightened to Bon Clay, but around this point, Usopp was one of my favorites.
Mm-hmm.
And who else did I really like around this time? Eneru, I think, was up there for me.
He's so cool.
For me, it was definitely
Robin.
Luffy for me. Robin was probably in like 4th or 5th.
Okay.
She wasn't there yet.
She wasn't there yet.
So
Don't worry about that.
I gotta wait for that flashback arc.
So definitely Luffy. Robin was like 4 or 5. I really liked Usopp at this arc. This is the point.
Sanji was getting up there.
Sanji was getting up there. I would say Sanji was at like 3. Probably,
damn.
Because Sanji does some other things in this arc that made me really go like, I really appreciate who Sanji is, even though he kind of has that whole shtick about the women. But when you like cut that out and like when he's not being a fool, you realize that Sanji kind of understands what it means to be a man and like what you have to do to be a part of a crew.
Yeah.
And he only gets fucking better, and it's awesome. God, who else was there? I think non-Straw Hat. I really like Dalton too.
Dalton, that's a good pick. That's a hot pick.
Oh, fuck, who was Dalton?
Dalton was the Bison Man from Drum Kingdom.
Yeah, the reason I like Dalton,
is
in the flashback for Drum Island. He talks about how Vivi inspired him, and I kind of like that idea. I like the idea of like leaders and him kind of having this fatherly kind of approach and whatnot.
I thought about putting VV in my top 5.
I gotta make 2 substitutions. I gotta substitute Eneru for Aokiji, and who was my 4th? I think it was.
Badass.
I think at this point I also really loved Hero
Okay.
Yeah.
It's really interesting because Vivi and Nami on my second read through, now I think they're so good. Like back then I didn't have much stock on them, but I was also young. But
man,
now
yeah, having to force Chopper out of his home once Chopper was better.
Yeah.
And then Chopper banging his head against the door. Fuck, oh, we can't talk about this.
When is a man truly dead, Bradley?
Oh my god.
When he turns off the podcast. Good night, everybody. Thank you for joining us.